It's really good when you are with good relations with your teammates because it's like going to work together and you have basically a friend with you.
We are back and joined by Candy Panda from SK in that hard-fought win, that comeback win over the Copenhagen Wolves, and the first win for SK Gaming, the new SK Gaming in this LCS. That game was so incredibly back and forth. Just tell me from your side of the story of the game, where you knew you had the upper hand.
So first of all, I have to say that like after the first 2 games, we were kind of down, but I think we knew we had the potential to win the game. Like in scrims, it was always like kind of 50-50 if we win or lose. But after the first games, we weren't so sure. But like we still knew we could win. So for this game, we like took a different approach to win it and play more aggressive. That was our plan. So that's how we won.
Talk to me about the different approach. Who makes the decision for that? Whose call was it to say, look, let's go a little bit more aggressive, let's pick some more fights? Because let's be honest, it didn't work early on. You guys were behind, you struggled a little bit, and it felt like the Ziggs bombs coming down from Copenhagen Wolves and Kautard made your life very difficult.
So yeah, first of all, like Ziggs is always hard to create something. But after the Fnatic game, like we sat down and we talked about what happened. And it was basically like, we didn't create any like opportunity for us to do something. So we said to ourselves, like, just try to create something.
Whose job was
And they're like, oh, get away. So you can just do whatever you want as an AD carry, and it's not hard to play that kind of team fight.
Not hard to play that kind of team fight, easy. No, yeah.
Next question is just very quickly. You guys got the Baron off that one. It then got drawn out still for another sort of 10 or 12 minutes back and forth. What was it that extended the game as well? What was it that kept the game still so close and you were trading kills and blows and gold the whole time?
Yeah, so after we got the Nasher, we took all 3 outer turrets. We tried to get control of their jungle for the next Nasher, but then we lost. We didn't lose the fight in mid, but we got 3 for 2. But then we just kind of went away from Nasher. They just took it, so that kind of...
That was where you fail flashed and hit the wall and then had to arcane shift into the
yeah.
river. Not that
Over the
I've
dragon
seen
wall.
that or anything.
Right.
Yeah, but to be fair, you did have people diving on you. It was an immediate tibbers.
It's a little mean. Now, actually, what I also wanted to ask you is this is one win, but that doesn't mean that the problems that were there beforehand were eliminated. And we noticed that you're kind of looking for new things. You said creating new things, as here, very sieging, a poke comp. What do you think is the main thing that you have to work on, maybe a specific lane or?
We have to improve on a lot of things. Like, there's nothing you could specifically point out. Like, we're still a young team. There's like the spring split. It still means something, but it's like more for preparation for the summer split. That's where it really counts. So we're just trying to like get the most out of it this season, like get the best place we can, and yeah, just improve as much as you can. Like as I said, there's nothing specifically you can point out.
I've got a question about that training regime. How do you improve as a team? How do you, in Candy Panda's mind, step back, look at SK as a whole, and say, these are the things we need to do? And don't say scrims. I'm not letting you answer that way. You know, what specific things do you need to work on, and how?
So like, if you want to prepare for a match or like prepare for LCS tournament, whatever, first of all you have to play solo queue for the individual skill. So you're good on lane, so you can actually like do something with your advantage. Then you have to scrim. I know you said I don't want to say it, but you have to scrim. That's the reality. Then you also have to prepare, like look up what the enemy plays. Like you can look at the enemy jungler, see what paths he take, and see like you can think why does he do that, and then you can like see. So like you know his timings when he comes bottom, when he comes top, whatever. Well,
I tell you what, I'll make this easier for that. I hope you guys win some more, because I would like to ask you again, when you scrim, how do you focus on specific things? So start practicing a response for me, all right?
okay, I will do it.
All right, well, thank you very much, Candy Panda. Congratulations. First victory for SK Gaming in the European LCS here. And now let's send it over to D-Man and Officio for our next game.
Thank you very much, Shocks. And before we kick off our final LCS game of the day, I want to remind you that the European Challenger Series continues live right after this match. Don't go anywhere, it's going to still be on here. So, ROC versus Millennium, that is the next game and the final game of the night. ROC had an incredible first game against the Super Hot crew, and they did it in style. Malphite and Pantheon pulled out the double combos, or the wombo combo, as Overpower called it.
I mean, I'm starting to really like Rocket. They play a very different style compared to the rest of the teams in Europe, and they're not afraid to pull out new stuff, being in the way they play, the way they build the champions, or what champions they actually pick. I've been very impressed about them so far, especially also the champion select. The way they do that, they manage to put up some combos that work really well against whatever the enemy team has, and that gives them such a huge advantage when they actually get in game.
And we also noticed during that game just how well they're playing as a team. And, you know, these are guys that have been together for many years, and it seems to show.
It really shows. I mean, the synergy between them, the calls between them as well. Everyone follows on the same call. You can see it every time. For instance, the wombo combo they did with the Malphite and Pantheon jumping in, it was instantly as the Pantheon circle showed, Malphite just flash ulted in, hit two people, and boom, the fight was on. That is high-level coordination, and it is beautiful to watch.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. And of course, Millennium, they did dominate SK Gaming earlier, despite taking 51 minutes to actually finish the game.
It was a very long game, but in their defense, they were against a Lucian and a 6 to defend. But they also admitted afterwards they didn't play up to their own standards according to themselves. They were a bit tired, it was very late, and they didn't like the combo too much they had, because they didn't really have any siege potential or pushing potential.
And you can see it was a big game, a 51-minute matchup that finally finished off there. And it's actually those two in the nearest shot there, Creaton and Jerry, that we want to talk about, because these guys, you know, they formed a great partnership throughout the summer. You were obviously up against them yourself, and they seem to be carrying on into this season. Obviously, Creaton had his hand injury before. Got to make sure we wrap him in cotton wool in this summer split, I feel.
Did you say Creaton had his hand injury?
His hand injury, yeah.
Oh, hand injury. I thought it said hand injury.
Yeah, you may have noticed that big cast he had on for a few weeks. Yeah. I don't know whether I don't know how much attention the other players pay. I mean, map awareness and all that.
No, I just misunderstood you. I thought you said he had his hand up injury. That was what I got wrong. Anyway, here we go.
Definitely don't want to go there.
Here we go. Them as a bot lane in the start of the last split was absolutely amazing. Creaton played so well and Jerry played so well. He pulled out also some new stuff, like for instance the Fiddlestick support. He was one of the first in Europe to do it. Now, they did very well versus SK Gaming, but against Gambit, it didn't look that good. They just looked okay, but for me, seeing how they do versus this Rocket bot lane, which has also shown very good signs, Silver for me has been very impressive, is actually going to give us a good indication of where we have Jerry and Creaton.
And while Millennium didn't do so great against Gambit early on, we want to talk about, and obviously, what was creating the opportunities against SK? What gave them that big advantage early on?
Now, very smart warding from Millennium all around in the early game was absolutely amazing to watch. Aranea had a lot of focus on getting some wards behind the dragon pit, so every time Millennium went for a dragon, Kirk could stand behind the wall, jump over the wall, instant burst down a target, and then jump back, forcing SK Gaming to back off from the dragon and not go in and contest it. So, in general, if they can keep doing this, if they can get Curb on something he can roam on and make big plays early game, I see Millennium have a very good, early to mid game transition, and if they can actually snowball games for them, like we saw versus SK.
We'll see if it works out for them. Let's check out those lineups, because on the blue side, it is going to be ROCCAT, and they were a team that were up against it early on. We'll see if they can counter the pressure of Millennium. The top laner is Zazas, Jankos in that jungle, Overpower the mid laner, Selavar as the AD carry, and Vanda in support.
And on the red side, it's Millennium with Kevin in the top lane, Aranea as the jungler, Kirby as the mid laner, Kraton as the AD carry, and Jerry as the support.
So Picks and Ban's going to be starting shortly. We're just waiting for the players to get themselves into the match, into the game, and get things underway. What are we expecting to see taken away? Because we've already seen some pretty wild stuff coming out of the ROCCAT camp. Are we expecting to see standard from Millennium? Because the last 2 games they've played have been fairly standard setups.
I expect somewhat standard from Millennium, but also know they play a champ select that relies a lot on what the enemy pick. They have a lot of counter picks, or think they have a lot of counter picks to certain champions. So for me, watching how they do, I expect them to do some pretty standard picks in the start, and then maybe saving a pick for Curb or something for the late, or for the last part of the champ select to try and counter pick Overpower. I also think, though, that the Kale pick is going to be very essential. If Overpower can actually get his hands on it, it can be very strong. I've seen that, and we have seen how Kill is right now in his meta, because you can stall games out when Kill gets to the point where she gets so strong that you can just instant destroy everyone. So for me, the Kill pick is going to be very important. And if ROCCAT can get it, they're going to look very strong.
And ROCCAT, obviously, you know, they're our team. We actually saw them talking about, and I hate to bring up the whole NIP thing, but you are here, so you know this is their first week in the LCS. It could have been NIP in there, but we talked about how they felt that they were one of the stronger teams coming into it. Do you feel, of the 3 new teams that are in the LCS, are they one of the stronger teams?
I feel ROCCAT and Copenhagen Wolves are pretty much dead even, and then maybe having Super Hot Crew chasing a little bit behind. But overall, I wouldn't actually say that they have proven yet, any of the new teams, that they are, you know, among the top in Europe, but I definitely think they have the potential to get there.
Yeah, because they were always a fringe team, there or thereabouts, and you talked about it a moment ago, the Kale is not going to be available for Overpower, Leona and Annie being taken away as well, so actually big support focus on J-Ree here, Elise also being banned away from Jankos.
Now ROCCAT knows that Millennium loves to have J-Ree engaging. They're just taking away the 2 best champions in the game to engage with. This might potentially force Millennium to early pick a Fresh, and ROCCAT probably has a counter for that. Maybe the Lulu. Lulu is fairly decent versus Fresh in lane, and also for the team fights. But Elise also being banned away by Millennium shows respect towards Jankos.
And it's interesting to look at the 2 teams there. You can see massive amounts of conversations coming out from the ROCCAT team. Big discussions. They're taking away Vi. It took them a while to decide on that ban, and now Millennium actually having a little talk about this one. Jerry didn't look too impressed when Leona and Annie were banned out.
No, but the Vi ban actually makes sense now that Elise is gone, because they want to make sure, if they actually do it first, but it's very smart.
Yeah, and actually the Vi ban obviously against Aranea. It's a champion he's been playing a hell of a lot of, but Thresh insta-locked in there. They knew they wanted to support, that's why they were banning him.
That is so smart, because we have like the top 3 supports in general, Leona, Annie and Fresh. This now forces Jerry to pick up something different. I'm not sure actually what he plays right now, if he plays an army, if he still plays Fiddlesticks, or if he picked up Lulu. It's going to be very interesting to see actually.
Kevin scratching his chin. He's just turned 21 yesterday, picked himself up his first victory, and that. It is technically still his birthday? Yeah, just about, for 9 more minutes. It's still his birthday, so we'll see whether anything can help. Will it be Shyvana in the top lane for him? Oh, well, that would be an Aranea maybe.
We've seen this combo coming in before, where they pick up 2 tanks instantly. It's going to be Shyvana in the jungle for Aranea and Dr. Mundo in the top lane. Now, Renekton is the go-to pick, but we saw ROCCAT play Malphite yesterday, which works kind of well. He won't really be able to duel Dr. Mundo, but he can force a lot of team fights instead.
We'll see if he pulls out something different. Of course, he pulled out Malphite yesterday in that top lane. We've already seen a Malphite today from Wicked. Not quite going the way I feel he planned it, and interesting build, I think it's safe to say.
I think we have to question that build, not Malphite, but the build itself. I have never seen anything like that, and I don't actually think I saw him auto-tag a lot in the fights. So, not the best build, but...
Well, it's a build that may work in certain situations, but against the Dr. Mundo, we weren't too sure. Caitlyn, though, has been locked in for Selavar down the bottom lane, so we already know what the duo pairing down the bottom will be for ROCCAT. The final choice, of course, Evelynn has been banned away a number of times throughout the last few games. We'll see whether it's going to make its first appearance.
Now, Evelynn is a jungler who needs early kills to snowball, but she will put so much pressure on the map just by being Evelyn. You don't actually have to gank anywhere. The enemy will constantly feel you're close by. And when you put down a pink ward to try and spot her, the lane you're against can just go kill it because you can see the pink wards. So Evelyn will constantly have pressure on the map, and with the Caitlyn pick now, they have a very strong lane, and at the same time they have a lot of pushing potential.
Well, Jinx has been very popular today, doing a grand job. We could see Aqua Prisons coming out from J-Re. Is it going to be Nami being selected in there? Champion that you played quite a lot of last split.
Yeah, and personally I still think Nami is very strong. I mean, she has her weakness in the early stages of the laning phase, unless you manage to land an early bubble. But once you hit the level 6 part, she's very strong. The Lulu pick instead, though, is not really that strong versus a Caitlyn. There's not too much burst damage, but it's a very safe pick.
It's a good pop-up pick as well. If you're going to have the Shyvana Dragon's Descent jumping in there, follow it by the Wild Growth, can bounce up the entire team if it catches in the right place, which we have seen in the Korean team, the likes of Impact in the top lane.
Yeah, and it also helps Jinx survive a lot. She doesn't have any escapes herself, but giving her the Wild Growth and the shield, coupled with maybe a Whimsy for some more move speed together with her passive as well, actually synergizes really well. So far, I like the combo from Millennium.
Well, we'll see what they're going to counter it with. Of course, we know the two duo lanes. What is going to be the mid laner? What are ROC going to pull out here? Will we see something different from Overpower once again? He pulled out Pantheon the other day. Galio is actually a potential. It used to be the mid laner of choice for Alex Ich.
I don't really see the Galio pick making much sense. There's no AP damage right now on Millennium side. Normally it's more of a counter pick with like heavy AP setups, but he changes.
That's more like it. Yeah, that's more like it. We could see, of course, the classic. The crowd actually sighs. It's like, oh, Mundo versus Renekton again. Well, it may well be happening in that top lane. Riven has been one of those champions of choice since Faker decided to really shock the world and say, this is actually what you should be doing with this champion.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Renekton, we don't really need to touch much on it because we've seen it time and time again. But Riven now is a very hard champion to actually counter pick because she's very safe in lane. She can pretty much always get her farm and she can duel pretty much everyone early game.
Well, we'll see what the final choice is. What will Kurt play? He's spinning that tracker ball and flinging himself around the mid. You can see it just in the distance there. His thumb already ready and waiting to go on it. Could it be Ziggs? The crowd were like, Twisted Fate! Ah, no, Ziggs again. Ziggs has actually made it through to the final pick, which does actually surprise me.
And I like this pick up actually because Ziggs has a chance to poke Riven a lot. Do a lot of early game damage, and a bit like versus the Nidalee matchup, he can push her into the tower very early and force her to CS under the tower, which is very hard. But on the other hand, if Riven decides to all in on Ziggs around level 6, he might be able to pick up a kill.
Well, they are the final picks and bans. What do we make of these two team setups? I mean, we're seeing standard top lane almost, Mundo versus Renekton. It's something we've seen a lot of. Bottom lane, you talked about how there's not a lot of mobility on Jinx. However, we've already heard from Reckless saying, well, that's not really a matter because in terms of strength, she is far superior to anyone else.
That's the thing, and right now, who will dive on her? Evelyn will try and come in from the side, land the ultimate on her, and then Renekton will follow up together with Riven. If this fails for Rocket, they don't have anything to take down Jinx. At the same time, Millennium scales really well into the late game. Mundo and Shyvana becomes these huge tanky monsters that you can't really deal with. Jinx does so much damage late game, and Ziggs as well. We just saw him last game as well. He scales so well into late game. Generally, I think Millennium, if we manage to get to the late game, has the advantage.
Well, that's what Deficio thinks. What do you guys at home think? Because we want to see who you guys at home think will win this matchup. Right now, it is split down the middle. 50-50 you guys have voted ROC and Millennium. So everybody's sitting on the fence back home. But currently, Deficio thinks Millennium are going to take it.
I didn't say they're going to take it. I said if they go to the late game, I feel like they have the advantage.
That's some serious backpedaling there, right there.
All right, fair enough. I'll stick to my word. I'll say I think Millennium will take this game, but I'm really looking forward to see how Rocket will play this. They don't really have any Vombo combo they can do this time, but I love the teamwork and I want to see them use it now.
Well, we'll see if it works out well for them because starting out as the blue team, it is going to be Rocket, and of course the red team will be Millennium as we join the Rift. Right now we're going to see whether or not any of these teams set up for the level 1 because as it stands, we've not seen any level 1 engagements.
We haven't had much. I think the only level 1 engage we had was Yellow start trying a hook on Enrated in the Fnatic SK game, but that doesn't really count. Right now, though, in the way the current system works, nobody really dares to go in for the early invades. And at the same time, once you hit the 130 mark, you just put down the wards and you kind of stop the whole late invades.
Well, Jankos, of course, can stealth his way in there, but RNA are immediately getting towards that death bush and stealing a position, which means, will we see RNA going to try and get that ward down? If he does, he's going to walk face first into Jankos. I don't think he's going to go for it. Those choppers, of course, from Kevin. We did see them pausing previously because he couldn't throw that cleaver out. Instead, he may well face check in towards Zazas, but instead, no. Zazas already steps away, shows himself, so everybody doing a little bit of a merry dance at the start.
I feel like we've seen this little one before. Oh, who guys coming out in there?
Oh, Death Sentence lands on towards RNA. Has to pop that burnout. Jankos just continues to follow through. See the Ziggs bombs coming through, but he takes him RNA very low. Is it going to be enough? Yes, he should be able to back away and get back before the minions spawn.
Now, Rocket could actually go in and try and get a few wards while Alnir is in base, but they decide not to. Safe start once again.
Yeah, Jankos backed as well, so he's gone back to base. It looks like it's going to be a red buff start for Jankos on Evelynn. It means it will be a blue buff start potentially for RNA. He's actually heading towards, and there is lane switches.
Millennium wants to late invade on this blue, because there's a TP on Kevin, so you can always TP down to the bot lane. And it's only Celavar and Vander actually at the blue right now. They can pick it up.
See whether they go for it. I think they were expecting this. Yeah, you can see immediately, but it's going to be 3 members of Millennium coming in. They put the ward down. They don't take out the ward of Roccat, and Roccat immediately force them away just with that presence alone. It is going to be the blue buff start for RNA. He's already picked that one up, and it's going to be a red buff start for Jankos. Let's see how the race commences.
Yeah, Millennium was hoping that Evelynn was starting blue for Roccat. Sadly, she wasn't, so they just decided to back out and use the TP down bot lane, and nothing really happened from it. Smart start though by Millennium, and they used the TP already from level 1.
Oh, Kerp getting in the Overpower's face already on there. And of course, he's going to have a big range differential over him, but if he gets caught out, if he gets a little too close to Overpower, he could be in serious danger.
Definitely. The mid lane though is going to be very interesting for me to see. I want to see if Overpower is, as you just touched on yourself actually, wants to go for early kills, or if Evelynn is going to come in there and try for an early gank.
That's a scary thing for any mid laner, any laner honestly, to think of when there's a roaming Evelynn, especially with the way the game's developed, with those pink wards now being visible. Everybody's a little bit more worried about any stealth minions.
Now, Millennium has vision, or had vision on Evelynn just before. They knew she just did her big rave, and from here on though, they don't actually know where she went. This is the thing about Evelynn. There's constant pressure on the lanes now. You never know where she is.
Well, Mundo Denler's bottom lane is going to be up against Renekton. Zazas versus Kevin. Kevin played a Mundo in the previous game up against Gambit. He had a horror show there because he was up against, well, the scary wolf of Warwick.
Scary wolf of Warwick. Fine, I'll give you it. I start liking the Warwick pick. But this game right now, though, bot lane or top lane 2v2 going fairly even so far. It's going to be fairly even pretty much the entire game.
We'll see how it develops. At the moment it is 20-18 CS. Of course the support's not picking anything up. It's Jankos we want to keep our eye on though, because he's already coming down. Double buffed up here, making a look towards Kevin. Kevin has got flash available, but that is it.
If he can manage to land the stun and Evelynn goes, he has to go in right now.
Zazas goes in, gets the stun down. They didn't actually follow it through. So Jankos is going to sneak his way and stealth in towards the bush.
Yeah, Jankos didn't actually show himself yet. Minions do not spot Evelynn, so right now Kevin has no idea Jankos is in the bush.
Well, Kevin continuing to throw out those cleavers, chugging down a potion. Now we're going to see the flash, the stun. Is it enough? Jankos goes deep. He gets him on the tower. He's going to take another tower hit in the back, but he will be safe. And that's first blood for Roccat.
This is the synergy I was talking about. Instantly as Saxus flashes in, Evelynn is there. He goes in instantly on the call. It is so well played by Roccat, and they pick up the first blood.
Very decisive play from many members of the team, and you know, of course, Jankos and Zazas have been playing together for a while, but not as long as the likes of Overpower and Celavar. They've been there for a very long time. RNA, they know in the position of Jankos, immediately counters, goes for the Wolves.
Gets the wolves right now. He needs to get out though. If he starts doing the big rave, Jankos will find him. He doesn't have a red buff though, so there's not really any kill potential. Oh, we actually see a fight.
Yeah, he sticks around, goes for the big wraith, and will back away from it. He didn't get the big wolf either, so only got the 2 little ones. So RNA not really that successful on his invade. Jankos comes back in there, fancying back and pace further. Kerb's going to get engaged upon, throws the mines down straight away, and that's going to be a danger for Overpower.
Kerb actually wins this engage. He still have health potion left as well, so for him, this was a good trade. The Overpower will need to think an extra time next time he jumps, because the minefield is there.
Both these AD carriers still equal. Getting to see Kraton getting hooked in there. He'd already thrown the chompers down when he knew there's not going to really be too much follow-on, but that was a great engage. Kraton taking low.
Yeah, so smart play by Vander right here. He puts down the Lantern, making Millennium think that the jungler is there. But so they start backing up. He lands the hook and they get some good trade, took good damage in onto the bot lane of Millennium.
So let's slow things down and see how it's going to develop now that Kevin's already lost one fight. You can see the glitter lances being thrown out from Jerry. He's going to try and force on towards Vander, just slows him down. Salavar getting poked out, but the shield from Vander quickly thrown out with that Lantern. And they trade back and forth once again. 46 to 40 CS. It is so far Salavar just edging it slightly.
Edging is slightly right now, but look at the bot lane. Renekton getting quite the lead. He had the first ball also, or he only got the assist, but he's having full pressure in the lane right now, and Evelyn can actually come down for another game because Kevin has no flash.
RNA coming around towards the middle lane. Overpower is going to go stepping straight in towards the bush, and he's going to face check straight in towards the burnout. It's not going to be landing the Ziggs bomb. Instead, Overpower will just stun up RNA and walk away from this one. Still confident in his levels.
Very even though across the whole game right now. Small advantage to Rocket. They did pick up the first spot and they are slightly winning in farm in the lanes except for the mid lane right now. But that was also expected.
Well, Ziggs has now got his ulti, so we'll see whether he starts using it. He's already heading down south. Blue buff's not available, so it's only one thing he's got in mind, surely. It's ward in the bush.
Ward in the bush. This pink ward actually in the small river bush is very clever because people generally do not run through the bush when they walk past right there. We can actually expect maybe to see this ward being there for a long time.
We'll see. We'll count the timers. It's the 7-minute mark. We'll see how long it lasts because I know you guys don't love those wards. Meanwhile, Kraton, he's clearing out that top wave. It is going to be the blue buff being picked up this time for Kerp. We'll see whether actually... I expect Jankos will probably keep the blue buffs for Rocket.
Yeah, Jankos will most likely keep the blue buff unless they feel that Overpower needs it to farm, because right now a blue buff 6 is having so much damage and so much pushing potential that Overpower might not be able to hold the lane without the blue buff.
Look at these two AD carries. Confident stuff from both of them, going straight for the BF swords. Both of them backing off there, so no advantage gained from either so far.
Both of them had farmed up 1,500 or 1,550 gold, so they instantly buy the BF sword. It is the preferred route for most AD carries, and right now, Sick Bomb coming in. Once again, clearing waves, stopping the push.
Stopping the push. It's actually a rotation coming as well. Kevin goes in towards that top. Didn't last too long there, just around about a minute. Jankos finds it, and it is going to be Jerry and Kraton now down the bottom up against Zazas.
Jankos did his homework. You've seen how many other people actually failed on spotting that ward, and he walks straight in there and clears it. Good job by him, actually.
Maybe I should be a pro player because I always walk through that bush.
Do you actually clear the ward when you walk through?
There's never wards there at my level, trust me. Nevertheless, it is Kraton and Jerry up against Zazas in this bottom lane, but it is going to be Jankos coming around the side. The stun they want to get is going to be on Kraton. They will get it. Kraton taking so low. Barrier's not going to be enough. It's another pickup in the bot lane, this time for Zazas.
Saxus and Jankos are doing work. Amazing once again. He goes in, he lands the stun, and then everything comes in.
Kerb gets engaged upon by Overpower, jumps in, gets the stun, the knock up, the ignite. Is it going to be enough? That's going to be broken wings. Tower hit's not going to be enough. The ignite will not be enough. Overpower gets the kill.
And we talked about the fact that Overpower could actually go for the kill after level 6. Riven has so much damage straight up. And there was no ultimate on Kerb because he used it to clear the wave top.
Absolutely. He completely timed that one out. That would have been simple communication. Salavar said, it is not available. No Mega Inferno bomb. Just used it on me. Let's get in there. There we go.
Well,
RNA got in there.
Yeah. RNA decided.
We'll see that in a moment, I feel, at the moment. We'll see how that works out for them. Jankos is going to come back in there and clear the wave. Meanwhile, the top lane. Let's talk about the fact that they are in these 2v1s. So obviously, we just saw Kraton going down the bottom, but look at this top. It is all about Rockat's pressure.
Saxus right now is so strong that he can actually keep the turret alive 1v2, meaning that Rocket can now recall and go bot with their bot lane and then keep defending the turret, and they're just taking the turret for free.
Well, Brutalizer picked up for Overpower as he goes back along with that Vampiric Scepter. Here is that fight in the mid. It's going to be pretty shortly done.
There's not much to say. Aranir comes in, Overpower stays even though he's low. Good engage from Aranir here and actually just picking up a fairly simple kill.
Yeah, straightforward. Ulti and Ignite being used on towards him, so no problem there. No Ignite rather, so it's just the burnout of the red buff.
Notice how scared Millennium's bot lane is to actually hit the tower. They haven't seen Evelyn in a long time. They don't have any ping ward. If they moved close to the turret and she was there, Renekton could engage on them again and pick up another kill.
Well, RNA is doing what Shyvanas tend to do, which is just keep that farm going. They're such fast farmers, but you got to think, compared to Jankos, Jankos has been looking for those kills. He's come down and helped out Xaxus. And as you mentioned, Xaxus is that strong now that he doesn't really worry about that 2v1.
No, and Rocket is playing this early game absolutely beautiful. They know that Millennium has a great late game setup, so they just put pressure and they want to make kills, and now they want to force maybe a dragon.
4 members of Rocket coming in there, ace in the hole, used to force our RNA away. That's going to be the jungler taken to half health. I don't think he's going to even think about getting in here and getting the smite. Rocket should take this dragon.
Kevin has TP though. We'll be interested to see if he actually goes for it or if they just give the dragon for free to Rocket.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go for it. They're going to back away. Mega Inferno Bomb, not going to use that either. Rocket take dragon 1.
Millennium realizes how strong Rocket are at this point. Riven is very strong right now. Evelyn is very strong right now. And also Renekton is very strong right now. So they simply say, fair enough, we'll give you this, and we're just going to farm up, and we're going to try to get to the late game.
Bloodthirster almost completed by Salavar, and he's just going to continue farming out this bottom wave. 97 to 84 minions now as they go up against each other, these duo lanes. So finally, of course, Tower going down by Rocket in that top lane has caused this rotation to hook on towards J-Ree. Piltover Peacemaker follows it up, and a big burst of damage on J-Ree. RNA is lingering on the side, but he can't really do a great deal about this one. Rocket not going to follow through. They're just simply poking.
And they had a ward up there. They spotted RNA because he slightly stepped out of the bush, and he just wisely backed off. Good hook coming in, though, and very nice damage they actually put on to J-Ree at this point.
Jankos coming up to the top once again, and Kevin just being focused down. Xaxus is in there, flashes away, pops that ulti. Is it going to be enough? Tries to teleport away. They have got the stun available. No! They don't get him, and he gets off towards that tower.
Great play by Kevin. He actually realizes there's no way to go for him. Had he kept running, Riven would have come up and finished him. Nice TP. But nonetheless, it's a TP down, and Rocket has the timer on it.
Well, potentially showing a lack of crowd control that they have in the Rocket team. We'll see how that creates any situations as 3 members of Millennium stacked down the bottom. They know that Jankos was in that top, so they can keep this pressure on the bottom lane for now.
Notice how the whole thing in mid lane has changed. Kerb had the advantage early game. Now though, Overpower keeps shoving him up to his turret, and Kerb can go anywhere.
Well, Overpower's going to jump back on towards Kerb. Kerb uses that launch mechanism that he can put down of his, I think, is he playing the Aqua? Yes, he is, so it's a rubber ducky.
A rubber ducky. Now, blue buff. Smart move by Rocket here. They want to fight constantly.
The hook on Aranea. Will it be followed through? Yes, it will. Flay goes in. Box gets thrown down, but it is actually Vander in trouble. Dragon's Descent used by Aranea because Overpower comes in. Ace in the hole's going to land. Will it be enough? Yes, it will. Overpower finishes off.
Once again, amazing by Rocket. They want to fight for everything they can get close to, and everyone is there and ready to fight. Overpower making the big plays.
Well, it was Rocket that managed to steal the blue buff as well, so Jankos walked away with that one, and that's going to cause problems for Kerp in this mid lane. Meanwhile, down the bottom, Salavar starting to chew his way through the minions. 115, 116, 117, counting upwards, just against 100 of Creaton, starting to build advantages all across the map.
Millennium has to do something about this bot lane, or the tower will fall in. Maybe not this wave, but next one again. Though, good thing for Millennium right now. Even though they should fall behind, they have great wave clear with the 6. Even the Shyvana can help, and Lulu actually works really well as well. So they can keep extending the game, keep farming, and maybe get to the late game.
And now we're hitting, what, level 9? Mundo would ordinarily start to step into it. But how do we see it? Because a 1-0-1 Renekton with Sunfire Cape, Spirit Visage on the way, up against a Mundo that doesn't even have the Sunfire Cape completed yet. It's surely a big advantage for Xaxus.
It is an advantage for Xaxus, but he won't be able to kill Dr. Mundo. This is basically just going to be farm versus farm. One is going to push the lane in, the other one is going to go up and grab the farm, and then they're going to switch around. There will be no kills in the top lane right now.
Well, bottom turret goes down. Middle turret will be next. It is a 4,000 gold lead already, just 14 minutes into this game. Rocket really have turned up to the LCS in the spring split to play and to pick up victories. But Millennium, can they counter it? We see Kevin still taking low. He's got to be careful here. Has to pop that ultimate, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Xaxus in there. Jankos is running for his life. He's going to join the party. Millennium's going to be in trouble now. Kevin's going to be the focus. Ziggs bomb's coming in. It's not going to... Yes, he does land on Xaxus. Xaxus flashes away, though, and survives.
Jankos is playing amazing this game. He's everywhere on the map. Everywhere he needs to be. He's going on Kurt.
Jankos goes on Kurt. Overpower's coming in. He's going to come around. Flashes on towards him. Gets the stun down. And Kurt just bounces away. Broken Wing's not quite catching.
Almost picking up a kill of Overpower. Rocket is rotating on him. Oh, the Rocket almost killed Jankos.
Well, Jankos surviving. Just getting the lifesteal from the minions. So that Mega Inferno Bomb. Sorry, the Super Mega Death Rocket. They've got the full combo. I'll tell you, it's going to catch me on my guard.
So far, Every time something happens on the map, Jankos is there. He's part of pretty much everything except for the one kill Overpower took alone in the mid lane. 2-0-2 for Jankos right now. He's playing amazing.
He's playing like Wonder Woman, I think it is, on Evelyn. Right now, bottom lane, Creaton, that's where we just saw the shots fired from. He's still down there, but it's the mid lane. The problem is, Overpower going a little too aggressive. Wasn't expecting Kevin there, and I don't think they're going to be able to do a great deal about this one. This will be Millennium picking up a kill. He's going to try and turn it back around on Kerb. Nope, not going to happen. Kevin gets the kill, but mid lane turret's taking a lot of pressure from Roccat.
Took a lot of, not too much damage in the mid lane, but smart bait by Kirby actually. Overpower spots him going into the bush, and then Kevin is waiting in there. A bit too greedy from Overpower though, but not mattering too much at this point.
Maybe biting off more than they can chew. They've got to be careful of that when they come up against maybe the likes of Fnatic and Gambit. They could turn that back around on them. As it stands though, they are one game up, and that was previously against the Super Hot crew, up against Millennium, 5-2 up, 5,000 gold lead 16 minutes into this game. That's a big advantage.
That is a huge advantage, and Jankos, he doesn't want to go under pressure right now. He just bought a blue pot. He wants to fight. Next Dragon is coming up in 20 seconds. I think it's going to be very risky for Millennium to actually go for the fight, but no, they can't really just let Rocket take everything.
Well, the bottom lane is once again the duo battle between Creaton and Salavar, with Vander and Jerry trying to create those situations as the supports. Ward's being placed down there. Blue Buff will be up shortly, as well as that Dragon. Next focus target, and it's Roccat getting the early vision.
Rocket is already setting up for the blue buff right now, getting the traps down in the entrance to the blue buff from Caitlyn, making it very hard for Millennium to actually go in for the fight.
Well, it's 3 members of Roccat split off here. They do have the rest of the team joining them, so now it's 5 members of Roccat in the river area and starting to leash out that Dragon.
Interesting enough there, Millennium actually seems to they want to fight. Kevin hasn't TP'd yet though. He TP's now.
Mega Inferno bomb comes too late. Jankos has already picked it up with the smite. Teleport comes in from Kevin, like you say, splitting off a little too late. It's actually separated the AD carry. Jerry gets hooked in, not really the one they wanted, and it's actually Roccat trying to disengage. You can see the box being thrown down by Vander. Is it going to be enough to pop him away? A wild growth used on Air, quickly trying to get on towards it. Jankos comes around the side. The damage suddenly coming through. Roccat turning back around. You cannot mess with Overpower when he's in such close proximity, and you can see Jankos wanting to get kill after kill, runs on through, gets himself a double kill.
The burst damage from Jankos and Overpower coming in right there, going huge in this fight, taking down Creaton and Jerry. The TP came in from Kevin way too late. The Dragon was already dead, and Kevin had TP all along. Not sure why he delayed it.
Well, very late plays, teleport, like you say, coming in too late. It's actually cost them 2 kills, 2 deaths, sorry, a Dragon and middle turret. That's a big cost in terms of money. And you can see it's now a 7,000 gold differential to make that an 8,000 gold differential.
Rocket is just playing absolutely fantastic. They are controlling the map, and they pick the right fights and they win them. It is amazing to watch, and the coordination we talked about before is showing once again.
So Creaton, can he try and create any situation? He's kind of been the man that's really been putting Millennium on his back. The AD carriers tend to do that. But honestly, he's kind of met his match in the terms of Salavar and Vander. They've been doing a fantastic job down that bottom. Already 2 deaths to his name. But let's check out that fight. This is all about the teleport coming too late.
If you see the TP coming in too late, they still decide to go for the fight, even though Millennium is behind in gold and they don't have to fight. They can back out right now up through the blue buff. But Aeroneer goes in for the engage, and here's where it goes wrong. Notice Jankins coming up from the top, hits the ultimate on 5 people, and then Overpower goes in and goes big.
Ace in the hole comes through, lands on Creaton, and look at this. They're just all great. This is perfect. This is what you want as a melee champion. It's like, oh, they're going to line up for me. This is great.
This is so perfect. Jankos, I imagine him just calling, go, I'm hitting like 5 people. Obviously in Polish, but still, he lands it, and then Overpower goes in instantly and picks up kills.
Oh. Overpower clearing out that ward, pink ward down the bottom, farm-wise in between them. He's doing a very good job at keeping up as well. So, mid-turret, look at that. It's just a breath of fresh air. We'll take that down. Jankos is going to come around. Vander's actually going to be maybe the one to hit it. No?
I think the turret is actually already dead.
It's gone. Ah, it went when we were in the replay. That's why. So we don't actually see it. It's gone. It's a ghost.
Ghost turret here. Doesn't really do too much. I was also wondering why Jankos was just walking by it without getting hit.
Gunshot. This is a miracle. They found a way around it. Nevertheless, down the bottom lane, Overpower's got that big wave coming in there, and look at that. Kraton's like, I'm not getting close to that crazy mid lane Polish man. He's at 3 kills, 2 deaths already, and he could absolutely rip Kraton apart. Oh, Chomper's nearly caught onto him. Kevin does manage to get some damage down on towards him. Pops that ultimate, but look at Jankos. He's just waiting up the side. Wants to come in for this one. He wanted Kraton to come around the side, but it's not going to happen. ROC in full control right now.
Overpower really wants to make plays. He's going a bit too aggressive a few times, but he's definitely keeping the pressure up, and Millennium feels it. Kraton has to be very scared. If he gets caught by Overpower, he will die.
Well, Vander swinging up the hook, doesn't quite throw out that death sentence. Kurt was potentially the target, and ROC really looking to try and create a play. Millennium having to play full-on defensive duty. That top lane wave maybe feeling juicy. I think Yazazas may well head off there. At the moment, though, ROC very disciplined performance, despite the fact they have a big advantage. They're pulling together.
But this is a very good setup by Millennium. They keep 2 people bot to stop Overpower. Oh, might not actually go in. Nothing really happens here. Everyone doesn't have any hard CC to put on here. But smart move by Millennium. Oh, hook coming in.
J-Ree gets hooked in there, and they follow it straight through, throw the box. Curb's the one they want, and maybe Curb's the one they're going to get, because Millennium drop like flies, and their Jankos comes through, running through, and well, Overpower completely separating the rest of the team. That's 5 members of ROC taking down an inner turret. They're going to take the inhibitor turret without any issue.
Just when I said it was smart by Millennium, they divided up so guys try and defend, then the hook lands and they go in for the dive.
Mega Inferno bomb only gets blocked out by Vander. It was Salavar the target they wanted. They couldn't quite get it though. Inhibitor should go down. ROC in full control. 22 minutes coming into this game. They've already taken an inhib.
While this was amazing dive by Rocket, there wasn't actually anything Millennium could have done except for not being hooked. They were standing in the right positions, they could clear, and they could keep Overpower in bay, 2v1 down the bot lane. It was though just a matter of time before Rocket would hit a hook and go in for the dive.
So, let's slow it down and look across the builds, because we're seeing actually Salavar, he's gone for the Static Shiv instead of the Last Whisper straight away. Last Whisper is coming out now, it seems, so jumping on for that one. You can see they're actually starting to create big advantages because, well, they are 11,000 gold ahead. Overpower potentially going to go for Kraton here.
He might try and go. J-Ree actually moved away. No, he backs off. Smart play by Kraton. He's an experienced player. He knows there's a chance Overpower is there. But the Static Shift, right now, Salavar is the pushing potential for them, and he's also the wave clear for them. So the Static Shift is going to help him instant clear the wave every time.
Well, they are going to find themselves a little bit of time. Dragon, of course, up in 30 seconds. This time around, I'm pretty sure Millennium are not even going to compete for it.
If Millennium decides to actually fight for this, I feel that it might be the end of the game. Millennium just has to let it go, keep trying to farm up as much as possible. But there's a long way to go. When even your Shyvana jungle is so far behind compared to the Evelynn, who's been so active on the map, you know things are looking very bad for you.
This is potentially proving why the likes of Evelynn have been banned out for a large portion of this. It's generally Diamond that actually this is taken away from, but Jankos has proven at 4-0-5 he is not to be trifled with, and with that Rabadon's death cap almost completed along with the Deathfire Grasp, that's pretty scary for a jungler.
Jankos right now is able to pretty much one-shot Kraton if he catches him from the side. We saw the same with the Elise pick yesterday. He went full AP on it and just dominated the game. I think it was 7-0 at some point in the game. He's playing so offensive and he believes in himself so much, and I really love the way he builds it.
I'd be interested to check that stat, whether actually Jankos has died as a jungler right now, because it certainly hasn't in this game, and looking like it may well not be possible, because once that shield's going to get huge now with that amount of ability power on them. This bottom turret looks like it's going to be not long in this game. That will be the 6th turret of the game without reply by ROC at 6-0. When you're not getting any outer turrets in the lane phase, generally it's not looking good.
It is definitely not right now. Kevin can hold Overpower top, but he won't really be able to kill him, which means he can keep pushing down the lane, get a few hits on the tower, dash out. At the same time, the 4 other members of Rocket can just push up another lane, and if they should break out a fight, they, right now, should be able to win it.
You know, for me, so far, after talking to teams, Rocket, you know, not only obviously impressing here, but the fact that a lot of teams rated Millennium very highly coming into this. They were saying these are one of the teams to watch. These could potentially challenge for one of the top spots. And right now, Rocket are making them look amateur.
They definitely are, but I still think Millennium is a great team, but I just think that Rocket brings something new. This is like seeing actually Millennium in the last bit of the start when they came in, they were so aggressive, they kept making plays early game and just dominated everyone. Now, Rocket is doing the same to them. And if they can keep this going, how long will it take Rocket?
And you know, I think back to the World Championships and see the aggression the teams brought, and that worked wonders for them. That's the aggressive teams were the ones that were there and around the final time. And of course, you think back to the days when Moscow 5 broke onto the scene. Their aggression that they showed also won them many trophies and tournaments. And Rocket may well have found the recipe, and this could turn, you know, force a lot of other teams to have to go back to the aggressive stance.
Definitely, and this is actually what I hope happens. We want to see people fighting Rocket with their style. Right now, they can pick up a free Baron. Millennium has no way to contest it, and they don't even mind them picking up this Baron, because this is how it is. They just need to keep defending.
I mean, they mind.
Yeah, okay,
There's
they
not a lot they
mind.
can do about it.
But I think they all agreed pretty fast to not try and fight for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a great deal they're going to do about that one. So, wave clear coming through. The inhibitor, I believe, in the middle has respawned, or is about to. So we'll see what they do with this Baron. Everybody's gone back to buy. We're seeing some interesting builds.
Yeah, but I'm a bit surprised, first of all, we actually have pause coming in. But talking about this, I'm a bit surprised about the trinkets from Rocket at this point. They could have went with some sweeping lenses and put more focus on denying vision from a Millennium. But right now they feel they have enough control of the map.
Well, it is Kevin, once again, that seems to have an issue. It's not just Alliance that have the pauses, it is also just Millennium. So it's just those two teams. Kevin obviously seems to have an issue. We'll find out what that is. I'm guessing it may well be keyboard related. It was previously, his Q wasn't working, I believe, last game.
Maybe it stopped working again, I don't know.
Well, the bottle of water is helping. He's going to rejoin the game, and I feel we'll be getting things underway. But as it stands, 10 kills to 2. It is a 15,000 gold differential 26 minutes into this game. It's looking pretty grim for those guys. And remember, they can't talk during this break. What goes through your mind when there's a pause like this, you're this far behind? I mean, you've just got to sit in silence, and obviously there are some pretty glum faces right there.
I mean, for Rocket, it's all about just keeping the focus, keeping the momentum going. So as soon as the game starts again, you just keep rolling and rolling. Yep. For Millennium right now, I think everyone is thinking the same. We just have to try and turtle this out. We have 6 to wave clear. We have Shyvana to help a little bit, but as long as we can just delay this game by maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, they are right now in the position SK Gaming were against them yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you think about it. They got the Jinx, the Ziggs, like you say. This is quick wave clear. They got the Mundo even as well as he starts getting into this phase. He's already got the Spirit Visage, Sunfire Cape, so he's going to have a lot of wave clear. So, hello again, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on the screen as we wait for Kevin to reconnect. I believe we just heard him reconnecting, so hopefully the pause will be back underway. I can already see the countdown, so let's get back into that game without further ado, because we hear the rubber ducky bouncing off there. That means Kerp is going. Don't worry, guys, the game will be back on a moment. And at the moment, it's really a very one-sided game. Rocket in full control from the lane phase, and it's a very impressive lane phase that they have.
It's an amazing lane phase.
Nope. Pause again?
Well, not much to say, but the laning phase from Rocket is strong, but the jungling from Jankos is really what puts all the lanes ahead. He's doing absolutely fantastic.
This time around it's Creaton, so he's now disconnected. So it's Millennium that are having these issues. We're just waiting for them to sort themselves out. So now it's, you can see the Borson stood behind them, the admin for Riot Games, making sure that Creaton just has to relog his client. That's all we're waiting for.
Yeah, it doesn't look too serious. Yeah, he's actually going to reconnect now, so we should be going very soon.
Yeah, so not too long to wait. We're going to get the face of Creaton and the manly stance of Scott stood behind him, making sure she just edges off the screen. Just thinking, stop talking about me. I'm going to edge away there. So what do you do in this situation? Obviously, they're going to turtle. Baron's just been picked up. This is a deadly situation. Millennium are looking at a 0-2 for today. That's not a good start.
It's not a good start, but right now, Millennium has to hope that Rocket will make a big mistake, maybe try like an over-aggressive dive.
Which they've been doing.
They have been doing. Overpower's been very aggressive. If they can catch him out, kill him, and maybe try and turn it into something, that's the way back for them. They need to try and get some towers first, though. They have 0 so far.
Well, it is all Rocket up the mid lane. We have one member of just overpowered down the bottom. He's going to shove that wave in. Of course, that inhibitor is just respawned, so which means Rocket obviously going to go for that one first. If they can get close enough, and I'm not too sure Millennium can stop this out. And this is the thing, like, you're talking about the wave clear that you have with Creaton, with Kerr, but when there's already an inhibitor turret down, it's very hard to defend. Boom, pause. Beautiful. Now, this time it is... I'm going to be looking. Can't see who it is. It's Kevin again.
Right, this is going pretty good.
This is going beautifully.
This is another way of delaying the
This
game.
is a test
Yes.
that Riot have put for you.
Yes.
Just for you. And every of the viewers, you guys at home are important, but we feel we're going to put you under the situation right now. So, fill for us.
One thing I will talk about.
Okay.
One thing.
Just one.
Jankos completed his dev cap. And I think actually right now,
Holy moly.
he has more AP than 6 on the other team.
That's a problem.
That's definitely a problem.
That's definitely a problem because he's got the Elder's Spectral Wraith.
He has the Spectral Wave, he has the DFG, so the damage he can put out instantly is insane. And right now, if they go for a straight 5v5, I don't see any way Millennium can win it. If they do manage to, as we just talked about before, catch out someone and then maybe turn it into a 4v5 fight, they might be able to win it, but they're going to need to win a lot of them to actually get back in the game.
And talking about the aggression of ROC, I want to talk about the third item picked up by Renekton as well. It's a Black Cleaver.
It's Black Cleaver. I mean, this shows the way they play. Once they get a lead, they just build offensive items and they just try to snowball it harder and harder. It reminds me again a little bit about an old Gambit. Or M5, actually.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it reminds me of, the full-on aggression of the old Moscow 5. And maybe Gambit are going to be sat at home, sat back in their hotel, but they've gone back to the hotel by now and watching these games and seeing, potentially who they're going to be up against. Because don't forget, many weeks down the line, it's only a 12-week season. They have to face these teams 4 times. So everybody is going to be scrutinizing exactly what these teams do in the early games. And when a team like ROC bursts onto the scene and destroys Super Hot Crew and potentially Millennium in the way they have, this is one of the teams that everybody focuses on.
Oh yeah, you have to focus on this. This is also the big question for Rocket right now. Because again, we saw Alternate in the last split, started out really well. Nobody knew how to play against them. But people figured it out, and all of a sudden Alternate started losing some games. Now, Rocket looks very dominant, but we have to see if they can adjust once people start figuring out their tactics and start making tactics versus them. So actually it's going to be very interesting to see how much they actually have and how big the champion pools are. Right now, they're playing absolutely perfect though, and they all play different champions.
And of course, while we're waiting and delaying here for Kevin to get himself back in the game, don't forget there's also games coming up after this. Cloud9 Europe, who we're hearing absolutely incredible things about, and all the teams are talking about them as well. This young squad coming through are up against, I will tell you who it is any moment now, up against heavy bot lane.
From what I can understand, the Trundle pick Source used yesterday was actually something they had played against Cloud9 in scrims, and then he picked it up. He saw how strong it was, and he picked it up. I'm very excited to see Cloud9 in the Coke League. I think, or trying to qualify for the Coke League, because I think they will be a very strong team.
Yeah, the Coke Challenger Series, of course, will be brought to you by Freakin' Kobe as well. So make sure to stay tuned for that one, because there's 2 more games to go. It is going to be Team for Nothing up against Tick, Trick, and I can't remember the final name of it. It's Huey, Dewey, and Louie in German. I can't remember the exact name of it, but that's what it stands for.
Wasn't it Duck?
Duck. So, yeah, Duck. That would make sense with Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
No, I have no idea who that is. I have absolutely no idea.
Absolutely no idea. Do they not do that in Danish? Maybe they do. I don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I don't know.
No, okay. So let's talk about the game. Well, let's talk about, in fact, the last 11 games. Well, we'll talk about this game because it seems that Pause has come back out once again. Overpower is chomping down that bottom lane, and Creaton is trying to do what he can to stop it, but it is all about Rocket breaking down this front door.
Now, Rocket is not even moving Overpower in to try and take the inhib. They keep him in the side lane to try and push the tower. They're confident they can take this inhib alone.
Well, they are confident, and why not? Because look at the damage they've already got. It's actually Zazas that's just sticking around there. They try and turn him into a wee little cupcake, but it's not going to work. And now Overpower comes in to try to put a bit more damage on towards his bottom inhibitor turret. Super minions will be coming down the bottom lane, but I feel Rocket have taken a lot of damage. They may want to step away from this. They didn't take the inhibitor turret, actually. Zazas didn't get the final hit.
They want to go in and get the last hit on this inhib, but they're actually getting quite low. Millennium might want to fight here.
Now they take it down, though. Death Sentence gets thrown out, doesn't find its home. Jankos comes around, joins them in there, and of course Overpower's been churning down this bottom wave. Kerp comes in, throws out those mines. That's going to clear the wave quickly.
I don't feel like Millennium is going to have a better time than right now to fight. Once Activity engage.
Oh, that's going to be a flash hook. Not going to land on towards from Vander, but you can see already that inhibitor turret is taken low. Vander's the one taking all the hits, and he doesn't get taken down, which is a worry for the rest of Millennium, because if they can't drop the support in quick style, What else can they do?
Millennium has no damage right now on Rocket. Rocket can pick up this tower, maybe on the next wave. C-Sax is going again.
They're going to take the turret down. It's going to be Zazas tanking it out. That is one more inhibitor going to be focused on. Vander is going to get dropped low. Aranea thought about going for it. They're just jumping back and forth from that fountain. Kraton needs the mana. And Rocket, well, they're working down that final inhib.
Millennium has to buy some home guard boots and just try and keep defending now. There's nothing else they can do. Every time they drop low, they can go back and heal with home guard and try to rejoin the fight. That's the way they can possibly win it. Hook coming in.
Hook on Kevin. Will they follow through? You're damn right they will. They're going to jump straight through into it. Meanwhile, Overpower jumps on towards Kraton. That AD carry is not going to last long. Broken Wings just obliterating them with Jankos coming in. This is going to be Rocket closing out the game. The Nexus turrets won't last too long, and Rocket have looked tremendous against Millennium. Game 1 and 2. Oh, the hook once again. Dragon Descent used from Millennium, trying to jump away from this one. Rocket will close the game out. They will take their second victory in the Spring Split LCS.
Following Jankos in this game has been absolutely amazing. He was also there when Overpower took down Kraton in the end, so they could finish the game. Rocket is looking fantastic, and they are so strong in the early game.
I feel those pauses maybe created an anticlimactic situation, but well, nevertheless, it was a fantastic victory for Rocket, and really very well deserved, because they dominated that game. Let's just take a quick look at what happened in that end there, because the last final stats of the game, what, 12-2 in kills, 20,000 gold lead built up over 29 minutes. That's incredible stats for a team that's just qualified.
Rocket did everything right this game. Everything. From the minute the game started, they had a plan, and they executed it perfectly. I am really, really impressed by this team, and I'm happy they're doing so well.
And you know, we mention it as a team that's qualified 3-0 over Ninjas in Pajamas. Cloud9 was the last team we saw do that. They came through, won the summer split of the North American League. Lemon Dogs, they came through and did that. They came through and topped the league, I think it's safe to say, because they didn't win in the promotion, but they won the overall league of the summer split. Are we seeing repeat of history here? Rocket starting off incredibly strong, or will we see them follow the likes of Meet Your Maker, starting off incredibly strong and fading away?
We're only in week 1, so we have to be a little bit careful about what we say, but the way they're playing right now is so impressive to me, and it reminds me so much of the Korean teams with the coordination,
yes,
with the picks they have, and just the overall mechanics and game and plays they actually make. So for me, the big question is going to be, what will they do when people start figuring out their picks and figuring out the way they play early game and try to build up a counter strategy? If they can find an answer for that, then they can definitely go far. I'm not going to say all the way, but they can definitely go towards the top.
Well, I mean, taking down Millennium's a good step. Let's see how they do against the big boys. What is it else you see in there? What are teams going to be looking at? You know, as yourself, step yourself back as a manager or a coach, whatever you'd like to be, maybe the statisticians. Put yourself in Monte Cristo's boots as CLG's man coach right now. What would you look at that team and say, this is what we need to do against these guys?
First of all, you need to make sure that you do not give them an early game jungler. You need to have a game plan at least to shut down an early game jungler. Jankos played Elise yesterday. He played Evelyn today. He has so much early pressure on the map, and he just puts it out in every lane. So in every lane, not Evelyn. So you need to make sure that you can shut down him, possibly by having, let's say, Elise send yourself or an Elise yourself, then to follow him around on the map. You need to see how he jungles, with what paths he takes, and like how does it look when he sets up a gank? How does it look when the lane sets up a gank? At the same time, you need to make sure that Overpower does not get any kills alone in the mid lane. You need to make sure that your mid laner knows exactly how he plays, because he's a very aggressive player. We saw it on the Riven. At level 8, he just went all in for the kill and he picked it up.
And what's impressed me as well about Rocket, particularly, is the fact that they've played 2 very different strategies and made them work.
And they made them work. Again, this just shows the whole champion pool these guys have. They can play the offensive ones. They can also play the defensive ones. And we saw them in relegation, also played a whole new level of champions. We had Vayne, for instance. We also saw the kill. It was banned away this time. So for Overpower, we had Pantheon, Kayle, and in this game, he played Riven. That's a lot of different champions. Okay, Riven and Pantheon kind of reminds of each other. But then again, Riven scales really well into the late game, where Pantheon kind of drops off, and you have to make a lot of plays early game. So I'm very impressed by Overpower, and I'm very impressed by Rocket.
Well, it's a very impressive performance overall. Let's go over to Shox and Quickshot, who are standing by with Zazas, the man that had to one-man it up against Millennium.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, D-Man. Congratulations, Axis. That is 2 wins for 2 in the LCS for Rocket, coming in hot. And in this game specifically, very strong performance. Let's start in the picks and bans. Very clearly from you guys, banning out the Annie and Leona and first picking the Thresh. Does that tell that as a team, you don't really think any other supports can give you any trouble?
Not really. It was more about Jerry. He only plays 3 supports all the time. At least that's what information we got. That was our plan for that team match. Because there are so many good champions right now, there are no OP that you have to ban. So we just wanted to make one player playing on something that he don't want to.
Talk to me a little bit about your picks and bans strategy. How does Rocket actually prepare for a game like this? You just said you wanted to target Jerry this game. Is that because you're not afraid of anybody else? Is it because there's so many champions for somebody to pick? I mean, that was your strategy here, but it's not the same that you apply to every other team, right?
Yeah, of course. We knew that every single player on the Millennium plays so many champions, there's no point banning just one of them. And there's only Jerry who plays 3 champions all the time, so it was that make that bounce.
That's actually very interesting to me, that way of looking at the picks and bans and also the way you guys play and just how incredibly deep the champion pools seem to be. Is that maybe what you think is what's giving you one step ahead of the teams you've played now and maybe you'll even play further in the LCS?
Well, maybe kind of. We play almost everything, especially Overpool. He can play any champion at mid. Maybe we'll see some strange things like Pantheon or others soon. But yeah, I think that every single one of us can play almost anything on his role.
So I've got a question now about some of the rest of the games you play. You're sitting 2-0 at the moment, going to start playing more frequently. Which team are you a little scared to play? Which team are you thinking is going to give us the toughest time? And you're speaking on behalf of Team Rocket now. Think about the whole guys. So who are you nervous to fight?
I think Fnatic is looking strongest right now. And beside that, I don't think so. I think the rest of the teams are on the same level, only Fnatic's above right now.
So you say Fnatic is the only one. Does that mean you see yourself as, for sure, a contender for top 3?
Not yet, not yet. It's too early to tell that.
Too early, careful, but still fantastic performance in your first 2 games. Congratulations once again. And now we're going to rejoin D-Man and Officio for a look back at day 2.
Thank you very much, Shox. And well, a conscious decision, I think, from Rocket there to say we're not quite contenders just yet, but there's a good start. So, now that the dust has settled on day 2, here is a look at the current standings. Of course, 3 wins for Fnatic remains in first place. No surprises there. They were European champions through the spring and the summer last year, and they hold that position once again. After the last match, though, Rocket, they have stayed in second place with 2 victories, 2-0. Great start from them. Then in third place, we have Gambit with 2 wins and that 1 loss against Fnatic, the opening game of the season. And the Super Hot Crew, well, they're in 4th place now after a great performance today. Gives them 1 win and 1 loss.
And with the defeat in the last game, Copenhagen Wolves, Millennium and SK Gaming are now tied for 5th place with 1 win and 2 losses for each team. And still looking for their first win, we have Alliance. They find themselves on the last place after 3 straight losses.
Incredible stuff. Wasn't expecting to see Alliance down there. And of course, those standings are sure to change as this Super Week continues on day 3. Coming up tomorrow, it is going to be the Super Hot Crew versus SK Gaming opening out the day. And that's, of course, going to be at 7 p.m. Then it's going to be followed by Millennium up against Fnatic. Ooh, tough one right there, of course. Rocket, they're going to be playing against the Copenhagen Wolves. Can they continue their performance and get themselves a 3rd win? And rounding out the day, of course, Gambit will be up against the Super Hot Crew.
And then we have Alliance versus Rocket, a game I will look forward to.
That's a big game to finish. And, with the pressure on Alliance at 0-3 to come up against Rocket,
that's a huge game.
That's scary.
Indeed.
Scary stuff. And of course, those matches will be beginning on Thursday at 7 p.m. Central European Time. That is 10 a.m. Pacific. And immediately following those games, the European Challenger Series will be continuing. Remember, you can always get all of the latest stats, team info, VODs, and much more over at lolesports.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now it is time to send it over to Freak and Kobe, who are standing by to kick off the European Challenger Series with a game I am very excited to see. Cloud9 Europe versus Heavy bot lane.
Thank you very much, D-Man, and welcome everybody to the 2014 European Challenger Series, brought to you thanks in part to our friends at Coca-Cola. I'm your host, David Freak Turley, alongside Sam, Kobe Hartman-Kensler. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. I'm having a lot of fun watching these EU matches. They're very exciting so far.
Yeah, you got some really crazy results so far. It's going to be a fun season. But coming up today on the Challenger Series broadcast, we have two huge matches. Up first, it's Cloud9 Europe taking on Heavy bot lane for a spot in the round of 8.
And immediately following that match, our second game of the night features Tick, Trick, and Duck battling Team 4-0.
And while we get set for those two best of ones, this seems like the perfect time to break down where we're at in the first Spring Challenger Series. Now, the winners of today's two matches will join the Spring Promotion Tournament teams that came up short, Meet Your Makers and Ninjas in Pajamas, as well as the winner of this morning's play-in game, Storm Games Clan, in the round of 8.
Then, after tomorrow's 3 European Challenger games, the final 8 teams will meet in best-of-3 series starting next Thursday, January 23rd. The teams that win their way through the bracket and finish first, second, and third will automatically earn a spot in the second Spring Challenger Series and rack up some valuable points in their quest for a spot in the LCS Summer Split.
So for more information on the Challenger Series, head over to lolesports.com, pull down the menu under the Leagues and Tournaments tab near the top of the page. Now, let's get to it, guys. Our first European Challenger Showdown of the day, Cloud9 EU versus Heavy bot lane in a best-of-1. The winner, again, moves into the round of 8. That's where you start earning the points. That's where it's really valuable, and that is how you get into that Summer Promotion Tournament.
Very excited. Like D-Man just said, everybody's looking towards this Cloud9 team. It's pretty much like the hype train from last season for Cloud9 has made its way all the way over to Europe. And again, there's going to be a Cloud9 Challenger team coming in with so much hype out of really successful scrims against LCS teams.
Exactly. It's funny because the team was formed the same way. It's a bunch of guys who are in Challenger. 3 of them in the top 10, another one in the top 25, of course.
And Voidal.
Yeah, and Voidal, who, I mean, he played in the Season 3 World Championships. Not the worst resume. Getting top 8.
One thing about Voidal is that he doesn't really play Annie, so they just ban Annie every time. Because Annie sees such a strong support right now, so many plays can be set up with those AoE stuns. As we've seen already, Fnatic, amazing plays there, Yellow Star, pulling off multiple AoE stuns in one fight. Get that one right off the table.
Yeah, absolutely. So the bans, of course, still coming through. Kassadin aimed at Fabiven, no surprise there. The Elise jungle away from Ku. And, of course, you know, the Kazakhs banned away as well. I mean, and that's actually, interestingly enough, that's actually a top lane Kazakhs dropped away from Kavoshard. He played that in their round of 24 match.
Yeah, so the other ban that I would be expecting is the Riven ban here. Not only is she just a dominating champion right now, but it's also one of Fabiven's favorite champions in that mid lane.
Exactly. We'll see if they drop more bans at him right there. It was interesting. You listened to the interview that Zoxis gave, and he was talking about how they just kind of target banned one player specifically because he had a short enough champion pool they could deal with it. But it's not going to be the Riven ban at all. It will be Lee Sin, another jungle ban coming through. So there you go. Insta-lock Riven.
Yeah, don't ban it. They're obviously going to pick that one up really quick. And that's another strength of like this Cloud9 team. We talked about the short champion pool being an easy target. You know, you can just go for one player if they only have 3 champions. All these players have very deep champion pools, so you can't target someone like that. Then really you just try and ban out the very strong ones that your team doesn't like to play, and sort of even the playing field like from there.
Yeah, and we've really come through with none of those bans aimed at Voidal whatsoever. He's got his champion pool intact as well. And so now we got to go through the picks and bans as we kind of continue on. So the Insta-lock Riven there again for Cloud9, the mid lane there for Fabiven. Heavy bottom lane, they've got their pick of the litter for the top lane aside from the Kazakhs ban. But they say, yes, jungle Vi, top lane Shyvana, we're going to start things off. Kind of, we just saw these champions, right, in the LCS.
And I love me some Vi, probably one of my favorite junglers. That comboed with a Shyvana means that you have a great dive team already. Vi is automatically going to get to the target that you want, and that's a really good assist for Shyvana because she doesn't have the hard CC for herself, but once she can get to that target, then she can stick on her very well if she's built that Blade of the Ruined King.
Yeah, well, speaking of getting stuck on and trying to go away, Lucian and Thresh coming through here. So if Voidal and Hjarnan play it right, I feel like he'll be fairly safe against these guys.
Yeah, adding a Thresh Lantern onto an already extremely mobile AD carry makes for a very hard target to catch here. Pretty much this whole C9 team so far is also very mobile. Riven herself comes out with amazing plays, highlight reels all day because of the mobility that she has. You know, multiple dashes. Anytime you have a champion like that, you're gonna get some really good plays. That being said, Yasuo has not been banned again. He has unlimited dashes.
That's true. As long as his minions around. As long as his minions around, unlimited
you got more
dashes.
targets than he can dash.
It's true, and then the cooldowns, and you can go forever. That's the way to go for it. But looks like Heavy Bot Lane gonna pick their bot lane right here. They're looking right now at Zyra Caitlyn. Haven't seen those guys very often in the recent past, but with all the supports left open, it is going to be a Zyra pickup. I guess we do see Zyra mid sometimes, so that is a little bit ambiguous, but Caitlyn is the lock in here.
Loves that one.
Yeah.
But I'd probably go with you. I'd say this is probably a Zyra support here. That's a really cool duo lane because they have such long range. Zyra's one of the longest range supports. Caitlyn is the longest range AD carry, so they've got great auto attack harass, and they have the possibility of setting up ganks for a Vi, because the snare, if a Vi comes in after that, then it's going to be a pretty much, oh well. We talked about how great support Zyra is. Maybe we'll be mistaken.
You never know. Could always be a troll pick.
I'm still hoping for that Yasuo pick.
Yeah.
Send that Yasuo mid instead.
I feel like he wouldn't have a good time against Riven, though.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to win wall. Your ultimate?
You're nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
At 6, it's useful.
Okay, so Agragas nowadays is really popular in the jungle, but it can also be played mid lane, of course. That's where he comes from. The jungle Gragas, though, is one of my favorites. He clears out every single camp so quickly because of the change to the body slam, where it deals equal damage to everything.
It's true. There's definitely a possibility here, but of course the lineups probably mid though. I mean, unless we're going mid-Vi, we're going Shushay from the spring promotion tournament last year, then maybe it's going to be there. But, of course, the lineup already in here for Cloud9. Jungle, Jarvan, top lane, Mundo. The most likely, they could swap around a little bit there. It looks like it is going to be the timeout here, and Gragas is the pickup. So, Jungle, Zyra, after all, most likely mid lane Gragas. Lineups are here.
Yeah, so this Cloud9 team is very AD heavy. You know, they've only got really the slow burning magic damage on that team. So, it looks like this heavy bot lane team could stack some early armor, especially on Shyvana. That would be very effective strategy for them. So they'll probably go for that, because this is definitely a team fight oriented team. If they're going to be fighting over these early dragons, which both of these teams should, then that early armor for the heavy bot lane could be a really big factor in their victory.
Okay, so outside of dragon fights and sort of late game scaling, we're looking at these. You know, I kind of like the dual lane matchups here. I feel like Kate Zyra is just so long range that even though you got like the who's who, right? Like Lucian and Thresh are two like such high priority picks, but I feel like heavy bot lane can survive that lane without much problem.
I do really like that lane. Plus, not only do they have Caitlyn traps, but they have the seeds from Zyra too. So they have actually a good amount of protection, which is something that bot lanes are lacking a little bit now in this preseason patch, with nobody starting wards anymore, since all supports are pretty much starting Dorans or maybe a gold item if you're adventurous.
Yeah.
There's just so much less vision in the bottom lane. I know a lot of junglers have started ganking there much more than they did in the past seasons.
Yeah, it's interesting. We see like there's like the very rare, like maybe 10% of supports actually start up with wards, and that's just not as common anymore. So guys, as the teams load into the game, it gives us a chance to break down these two squads a little bit more, starting with Cloud9 EU.
Right, so Cloud9 EU, we already talked about the hype. They're one of the top seeds in this Challenger tournament, and they were the #1 seed coming from EU West. Yesterday, they also beat Aatrox Gaming in just over 26 minutes, and their AD carry, Huron? Yeah, he went. He never died. He went 8-0-6 as Lucian, and you may also recognize their support, as we talked about, Voidal. He was a member of Gambit Gaming during the summer split of Season 3.
And of course, their opponents today, heavy bot lane. They're coming in there with their own win, thanks to some big plays. And where else? Their bot lane.
Yeah. Okay, so the heavy bot lane took out Curry Tiki in just under 32 minutes, so a little bit longer for them, but their AD carry also performed extremely well. Nadarus had a great game. He went 6-1-13 as Caitlyn on Caitlyn again.
Yeah, these guys haven't really changed up their strats too much. I think a lot of it being being a little bit harder to research their opponents, being sort of online opponents and whatnot. They're just kind of going back to the comfort picks, right? Riven, the most played champion there for the mid laner, the Lucian, everything kind of just coming through and playing, yeah, these are comfortable champions. This is what we know we'll do well with. Play some default strats, and it's working for these guys, to be
That
honest.
Riven one getting through did kind of surprise me, because that's one thing that you actually can research about this team. Everybody's like, oh, well, what do you know about the Cloud9? Yeah, they like that Riven mid.
Yeah. Like, I just look at my online and like, if most played champion is Riven, okay, well, that's probably likely here.
All right.
And what I actually think is interesting about these players and the research that we've done is a lot of these guys have their most played champions are not common meta champions. So, for example, Odoamne, his most played is Jace. And we don't see him much at all. Like Jace, not really anymore. But throughout the last season, he's been playing a lot of that guy. And you've got like these pocket picks that aren't
Especially
common.
in the top lane.
Yeah, exactly. And I always think that's interesting to have in your champion pool.
It's very unique. Ever since, the tier changes and stuff like that, we haven't seen a lot of Jace. I do like the champion, though, because he's so versatile. It can bring back a lot of these poke compositions that have kind of fallen, by the wayside. And he also has great disengage with his gate. So it does open up a few more strategies than this, Shyvana Mundo. Oh, what's going to be in top lane? Shyvana Mundo.
Maybe Renekton.
Maybe Warwick or Trundle. That's what really excited me so far about the EU LCS. But this game, Shyvana Mundo.
Well, guys, we're going to get ourselves into the game in just a few more seconds. And actually, you spoke to that Trundle. It's another champion I have seen Odoamne play a few times in his opening. So, guys, here we go. Game is here. Let's get ourselves into the match. It's going to be a fun one. We can see heavy bot lane spawning on the right-hand side just 3 seconds into the game.
Freeze
Gonna have
picture.
Awesome.
All right. That was just a beautiful team portrait right there. Everybody wanted their faces on the steps. Beginning of the Coke Challenger League here. Everybody wants to remember these key moments. I remember my first tournament, Freak. You actually played at a couple tournaments too.
I played way back in beta. I played before anyone barely knew the game existed. But I got to at least say that I lost to Reginald.
It counts.
It counts. I went 1-2. Back when Corki's key revealed invisibility. I'm basically just like the grandpa of League of Legends competitive.
How do you feel about the new Corki Q there? Not only does it not reveal invisible, but he just kind of lobs it over there. Very soft toss.
So I actually like the Q change a little bit. So it basically lets you fight from a little farther away. Like before, you pretty much had your auto attack range. That was how everything worked until level 6. And now you get to actually poke or wave clear, do a little bit more. Kind of like defensively, if you're losing lane, at least you can toss stuff out there. So Corki actually still works really well for me. I still like the champion a whole lot. He's one of my OG
Trinity
favorites.
Force building champion.
I mean, the thing is, what was great about that is way back when Last Whisper was so OP that not going iEdge Last Whisper was the wrong choice on every AD carry. So actually, there's like a post from me in like 2010, like March, where I'm like, Corki item tier list, Trinity Force is trashed here. It was like, never buy this item on Corki. It's true. You can find this post on LeagueOfLegends.com. I put Trinity Force in trash tier on Corki, but that was 4 years ago. Times have changed.
Times have changed, and now we're going to see Caitlyn versus Lucian.
Yes.
This bottom lane, like you said, poke advantage definitely on the Caitlyn and the Zyra, but the possibility for lantern ganks. I always have to give the advantage to the lane that has the better jungle ganks. So the possibility of throwing that lantern back, not only will you be able to bring in a great jungler for a jungle gank, but you can also use that as a bluff, even if your jungler's not there. And if the Zyra Caitlyn get a snare or something, they start going super aggressive, you can actually throw it backwards and bluff them out of further aggression.
It's true. I've seen that. It's just like completely no one's around, but you don't know, and you just, well, maybe I won't go for it. There's actually one thing I wanted to talk about a little before with the Zyra, because just so you guys know, by the way, what's going on online, we're playing on a 3-minute delay by the fact that we're playing online. And so we're getting through that timer right now. We've got about a minute till the game starts, which is why you're seeing us instead of the beautiful team portraits with
Sorry
Gragas.
about that.
So yeah, a minute to go, we're going to be fine. But I wanted to press you on Zyra a little bit because we're seeing so much more bruiser emphasis, right? Mundo, Shyvana, things like that. And Zyra to me was always this sort of disengaged type support, heavy area of effect, a lot of lockdown for like guys who walk in straight lines. And I felt like Zyra makes so much sense when you're seeing Shyvana and Mundo run around the entire time.
I really like her. She's not super effective against those tanks that will just sit through the knockup and then they'll still be there super tanky. I love her against the Kha'Zix, Yasuo, Riven that are super popular now also and are going to be diving in because she can lock them up. If they get snared, then they're toast.
Okay.
So I do like that point a lot. I think that she is underrated in this meta. but really because of the popularity of these AD assassins that are all melee, and they're going to be charging in on her, so she can make them pay with their lives for it.
So Fabivin, unfortunately, is playing Riven right here, so there you go. And actually, he's already afraid of his lane. Doran shield start, a bit more uncommon for Riven there, but not sort of the offensive start we tend to see for these champions.
All right, so it looks, you know, the other thing about the Doran starts for supports, since we have both these supports starting Dorans, that early invades have really dropped off because you aren't going to be dropping wards very deep in enemy territory. There's not a lot of extra information that you're going to be getting after this.
All right, so here we go, guys. Everyone just kind of milling about on their own sides of the map. And actually, a recall from Voidal. I want to see if he actually turns that into a bit of a lane swap, because right now, Hjarnan is still staying on the bottom side. These guys drawing their battle lines. And actually, in general, we've been seeing a lot of standard sort of lane setups. The 1v1's top lane, the 2v2's down in the bottom. We've just kind of seen less of it so far in 2014 as we just wait for everyone to just make sure no one is doing anything tricky. Minute 30 comes across. Yep, there's the warding totems coming across, and it looks like everybody's just happy to play a fairly defensive early game. But as I say, that Cloud9's looking a little tricky right now, right in this river brush.
All right, a couple of the defensive, you know, trinkets dropped. Everybody starting out with the warding trinkets. That's kind of been the consensus nowadays. You know, maybe one person starts with the sweeping lens, but this time around, we're going to see all trinkets and an invade very early here. They time this with the 155 of the red, and they're going to be able to steal this one away.
And of course, at the same time, notice that Ku is taking his own red buff at the bottom side of the map. So Cloud9 getting 2 very early red buffs, giving the red over to Hjarnan actually as this goes on. And remember that Odoamne has teleport on Mundo. He can show back up to the bottom lane in time. And I take it back. It is a 2v1 now for Cloud9.
So 2v1 up top. Red buff Lucian, very, very dangerous for harassing under turret. It does have a dot on it, so he's not going to be sustained damage under the turret, or else he's going to grab tower aggro, but that's not what he's looking for. He's looking for the old Lucian combo, one ability and the double shot. That's all you need under the turret, unless Thresh is able to land the hook, and then you can go for the kill.
And meanwhile, though, just the jungle pattern, I still got to say, Cloud9 starting the game off with the 3 buff start is a great way. Their first sort of, not first televised game, but first game on sort of their road to the LCS right now. These guys off to a wonderful start here with just a minor lead.
And that is going to put Vi behind a little bit, but with the new jungle, it doesn't actually hurt her as much as it used to. She has very quick respawn times on all the smaller camps, so she can hard farm those camps and get at least back up to equal experience and gold fairly quickly. The only thing she's going to be missing is the potent ganks that come from having a red buff on you.
Speaking of having a red buff on him, Ku already here to knock back Kabashard. Airwalk's there as well. Even though in a fight already with his star, look at them down to half health on Gragas. Already the aggression here from Cloud9, not to mention the 3v2 top lane.
So the 3v2 is going to cut off the rest of heavy bot lane from this turret, so they don't even get a chance to try and defend under the turret. Meanwhile, Ku here trying to not even let them get golem experience. This means that the turret definitely going to go down first for Cloud9 here, even though Caitlyn Zyra, I would have given the edge for early turret damage in 2v1 situations if it wasn't for the red buff steal and the intervention of Ku.
Yeah, Odoamne just sitting there kind of defending his turret, half HP on that structure, but a level 3 Dr. Mundo didn't even burn his teleport on the way down, so a lot of resources here for Cloud9 already. 4 minutes in, they got control of the top lane, and they're at least surviving bottom lane, so it's definitely really great for these guys, and you've already seen Fabivin playing aggressively, knocking back his opponent in the mid lane as well.
Yeah, pretty much everyone on Cloud9 was looking to play aggressive because they were the ones who pulled the 2v1 switch and still started a Dorans on Thresh. A lot of the times, if a team knows that they're going to be the ones going for the 2v1 switch and they think they're going to get it, then they'll have their support start with that gold per 5 items so they can just accrue more gold.
Yeah.
And probably not going to have to use those combat stats from the Dorans. But even knowing that, Voidal has started with that Doran shield just for that extra level of safety.
And Kabashard just kind of sitting in the brush, hoping to gain experience as the lane finally pushes in. But 1 turret to 0. Odoamne, his turret down dangerously low right now. I don't know if C9 will get a lane swap in time to keep that outer turret alive, or if it just becomes a sort of belated trade.
It looks like they're just trying to stay where they're strong. They've got so much of a lead up in this top lane that they're going to just continually press on this weak point of heavy bot lane and keep their duo up top for as long as they can. Now the thing is, since they have started those Doran's item, everybody's starting a Doran's item, no early wards for them, it's going to be hard for them to stay that deep and also be safe enough because they can't cover their backsides with those wards.
Yeah, so it's going to be, how well can Airwalks and Cabochard kind of capitalize on an overextended top lane right now as Voidal and Hjarnan sit a little bit back.
Another thing with the invade there would have to be control of the mid lane. If Vivivin is not able to pressure this Gragas in, then Gragas would be able to roam up top and stop that duo push too. That's why the aggression in all the lanes at the same time is key for C9 right here. Even though, bottom lane, he's not going to be able to get kills or anything. He's doing a great job just staying alive.
But here comes a jump in the Vault Breaker. Nice flash there by Omne, keeping himself alive. But now it's a 3v1. It seems like the bottom lane is heavy enough to pull the rest of his team down there, and that turret is going to crumble.
All right, so they are going to answer the turret gold at least, but the advantage still in C9's favor. They have the extra gold. They were able to zone off Shyvana a little bit longer there than Mundo was starved. So he's going to be a little bit safer when they do meet back up.
Yeah, Adewamne's got about a 10 minion kill and 1 level lead over his would-be lane opponent there. So I gotta say, I agree with you on this one. And in fact, Cloud9 making the rotation here. They've got all 5 members to the bottom side, and this dragon's being started.
I really like how Vivivin also starts off the dragon, tanks the entire first couple of hits with his shield. As soon as his shield is knocked down, they switch over, get the dragon rotating so it does a little bit less damage.
Yeah, so even with the turret getting traded, though, it's Cloud9 looking back for normal lanes. And of course, well, turret's getting traded, but Dragon's always nice. Airwalks still wants to do things. His bottom lane actually pulling a lot of attention right now. And let's see if Airwalks can turn this around in a 2v2 or 3v2.
Voidal really wanted to go ward over there, but he didn't go ahead and do it. So the cooldown on Vault Breaker right back up, and he's coming in.
And the slow's going to be there on Hjarnan as well as Voidal. Voidal on the half HP. Nice play lands onto all 3, but the chase is still going on. Ignite onto Voidal, and no, Cloud9 gets away. Nice play by Voidal.
It was an interesting choice by Airwalks there. He had time to charge up his Vault Breaker to a fully charge, which is double the damage it would have done, and he just decided to actually go for the small bump there, walking up. So I don't know. He could have gotten a little bit more damage, but it wouldn't have been a kill in either case. So just a personal choice right there.
And speaking of personal choices, actually, I'm a little bit surprised by Voidal's choice. He went for the Relic Shield here. Now, Thresh is not technically melee. He doesn't get the Execute proc there. And also, we've seen so many supports go Talisman of Ascension. I'm not used to seeing this item choice.
It's pretty interesting because Talisman would be so great with this team, too. You already have the Mundo and Riven that are going to be trying to get very deep into the enemy team. And an extra little speed boost would do wonders for them. However, Voidal is definitely a huge fan of the fully upgraded Talisman, going for that face of the mountain, so he can use that shield to further protect not only the AD carry, but he could also use that on one of these melee divers. So having that extra shield for Riven could actually be the turning point in a team fight.
And we'll see as that pans out. Ku right there, level 6 already. Has his ultimate, of course. Airwalks on Vi in a similar spot. So as you called it, the extra jungle sort of respawns, helping Vi keep up. And Airwalks is doing pretty all right here. It's only the top laner, really, of Cabochard, who's still without an ultimate right here. Pretty rough spot for him, despite the fact that his bottom lane's already 6.
Yeah, bottom lanes. Everybody's 6 down there except Voidal. He's coming up on it pretty quick. The combo from a Thresh landing a hook onto someone squishy like that Zyra would definitely be death at this point.
Yeah, not to mention if you get a Jarvan gank. And speaking of which, you do have Ku running around on this side of the map, down towards the bottom lane. This could be a Lantern gank if he really goes for this.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a ward in the tri-bush, and there's no ward in the side lane bush, but there is a trap there. So Ku could find himself standing on top of a cupcake and ruin hopes of that Lantern gank. But
that'd be rough.
He probably won't even come to the situation there.
He's looking for the lane gank, though, but Airwalks, of course, already hear the jump across, but watch this. There's already a ward in the river brush to spot it if he goes for that jump.
Could even be a Jarvan in that river brush soon.
That would suck a little bit. Thankfully, Vi still has flash, but no, actually, both junglers kind of fizzle their attempts to gank right there, and nothing happens at all. Instead, Ku rejoins his team in the mid lane, looks near the top side as well, and they're they're looking at things to poke at. They're just not quite finding enemy champions yet.
Looking for a little bit of a late invade, but Airwalks finally does pull the trigger.
Yeah, Knockup's not going to land on a Hjarnan. Hjarnan goes back into the 1v2 right there. Good damage on an Ardeas as well. Voido's forced to run away. Only 400 health left on him. Hjarnan shows back up. Good damage on a Caitlyn. First blood, though, is going to go to Airwalks. And now can Lucian answer this one back? The flash is going to come through, but it's going to be answered there by Hjarnan now in the fight against Airwalks. Airwalks running back, and he was going to pour some away, so it looks like just the 1-for-1 trade. First blood, though, going to heavy bot lane.
Hjarnan did a really good job, even though they were outnumbered 3 versus 2. He was laying down cover fire for Voidal while the entire heavy bot lane team was chasing after Voidal, and he was probably going to kill Voidal no matter what. He was able to put down enough damage with that culling on 2 members that he was able to follow up with an answer kill, with pretty much the best situation you can make out of that gank.
Yeah, 2v3 going 1-for-1, definitely not a bad way to play something out, but it does mean heavy bot lane gets just the smallest bit of gold back into this game. Still a 1,000 gold lead for Cloud9 due to the dragon kill they took off their superior rotations. And now a minute 40 to go and standard lanes. I want to see if dragon becomes an important objective for these teams again.
Also, we've hit the point where you really got to worry about roaming from both of the mid laners. The Riven, even though she does not have boots, she's got the cooldown reduction from a Brutalizer, which is almost as good as boots on Riven because she has so many dashes. And she's actually been making frequent trips up and down this river. Meanwhile, Gragas is the quintessential roaming mid laner looking for those ganks onto squishy targets. So the mid lane wards are going to become even more important, and I'm happy to see at least the red side here pulling up some red wards.
Yeah, actually, you mentioned sort of the mid lane wards coming through. With Hjarnan, or not Hjarnan, sorry, Febiven a little while back actually put a pink ward in the enemy like lizard jungle brush. You can see the little blue circle on your screen right above where the camera is right now, and that actually, at least for Deficio's help, hasn't been walked through. That one actually did last for a little while. I think more than 3 minutes at this point. So that one's given a good amount of vision.
Yeah. For the record, I think most junglers have adapted to walking through every single bush that's along their path just to make sure there aren't pink wards in there. Because pink wards provide so much value now. If you buy them in the early game, they can last, you know, upwards of even 7-8 minutes. And that's just so much vision for the gold value that you're getting there. Checking all of the bushes that you walk by is definitely an adaptation that pretty much everybody's had to make.
Voidal just flashed. Like, Airwalks charged a Vault Breaker, and Voidal was like, no, I'm out later. So just charging the Q, forcing the flash of the way. Didn't need a Thresh Lantern. Everything wonderful right there, but certainly Cloud9 playing a little bit defensively in this bottom lane. Dragon is up right now, and of course Teleport is here for Mundo.
So Mundo has Teleport while Shyvana doesn't, but oh no, Shyvana actually, is that a cooldown right there? It is on her ultimate, so she can't get the interrupt. Mundo's backing off. They don't want to contest this one. It would be turned against them.
All right, so nothing at all. Cloud9 with a very easy take for themselves. Some more gold coming through, and now almost, I guess, a 2.2 thousand gold lead here for these guys. The engage going to come in there on the Q, forced to flash away, half HP. Voidal pop in the box as well, but knocked up there by Zyra. This is dangerous. The re-engage comes in. Look at that burst damage. Goodbye, says Riven, picking up Zyra. Airwalks forced away at 50 health as well. I can't believe they only got 1 kill for that one.
That was a beautiful combo, though. Really, really nice attempt there. They baited him back in just for the Jarvan knockup, times perfectly with the Vivian coming in for that burst damage that everyone knows coming from Riven. We already did see the Mundo use his teleport there, even though it would have been a late teleport and not change the fight that much. Shyvana went for that interrupt. She was fully charged. As you can see, when the red bar is full, she'll be able to use that Dragon's Descent to knock him out of teleport.
And now Cloud9 making the best of a decent situation. Hjarnan staying in this bottom lane to get a little bit more damage on that bottom turret, and actually dropping a decent way now, below half HP there in that 2v2. And that's some good headway for these guys.
It looks like the Zyra Caitlyn here definitely going to be playing off the back foot now that there are 2 kills for Lucian, and he's added a BF sword. So he's not rushing that Trinity Force build, which would mean the culling would be even weaker. Now he's got the extra AD there for the scaling for it.
Yeah.
And all the fans of culling will be very happy when it actually deals a significant amount of damage.
Significant. He even stopped for the phase right there, just like we wanted the move speed of like kind of Trinity Force, and was like, it's good enough. We're gonna go for the DPS for the race to this one. In fact, Kudo looking for a flank kill right there. This could be a 2v1 onto Cabochard.
And he did just use his Dragon Ascent, so he has to get a few more attacks off before he can use that again. If he turns and hits Jarvan a couple times, then he'd be able to charge it up.
Yeah, no
But
Cataclysm available,
he can
though.
just walk away.
Yeah, walked away as a scary Dragon Lady. Nothing too bad happening right there. Keeps the turret alive at least. As Hjarnan sweeps away this minion wave, this bottom lane. Kind of staying normal right here, 2-on-2. These guys have honestly been slowing down a little bit, but I say that Airwalks looks for the jump onto Fabib, and can they get the damage here? Trying to dash away, Cataclysm comes across, do they have the damage? No, Fabib can't get in. Q goes back for the knockup, these guys forced to run away, but Airwalks might not be done. Has the Assault and Battery, lands that Q, not in a good place. Goodbye, Astar picked up that kill. 2 for 2 on the kill score right now, and Fabibin still looking for blood himself. Does get a little bit of damage on the Airwalks, 1 attack to go, but can't find it. Now the stun onto Astari, still forcing Gragas away as well. Voidal makes the rotation, just a 1 for 0.
Even with 2 missed Vault Breakers, they're able to get the kill off of that one. Very well played by Heavy bot lane, but you could still see Riven was chasing both members off even after Jarvan dropped. Definitely still had kill potential. 1 more hit would have been the death of Airwalks.
A very scary champion right there. And kind of speaking of how strong Riven's been, we've actually seen Gragas vs Riven earlier today, and we see kind of the same build. Triple Doran's Ring, the extra health for Gragas to keep him alive in that matchup.
The extra health for Gragas is going to help a lot, but also Gragas has picked up a Morella Nomicon for the Mundo in the top lane, so he's thinking ahead already. He's going to be able to reduce that health regen, and Mundo won't get to as big of a deal as we've seen in so many of the games on this last patch.
Yeah, I actually was a fan of Kevin's teleport. He's like sitting there like just fully tanking the 2, like the Renekton and I want to say Vi, and just nothing happens. Omni forced to jump away, the flash chased by the dragon, and Ignite's going to be enough to pick up the kill. Kabashard takes that one, 3-2 now for Heavy bot lane, bringing the kill score in their lead for the first time.
Yeah, it looks like that Mundo definitely won't be getting to the scary point anytime soon. Easily taken out there, but now Fabibin again.
And oh, goodbye to Caitlyn. C9 EU picking that one up. Fabibin with the kill credit. Of course, Q helping out quite a bit as well. And these guys are kind of content to stay in the mid lane right here. The bot lane might need to protect this one.
Such a scary combo when you can land the Jarvan armor penetration plus comboed with a Riven who's built the Brutalizer. They just rip right through any target.
That's actually a really good point that you bring up the Jarvan Q, because you're like, yeah, it's a really physical heavy team, and if they build armor, and it was like, oh my god, the Jarvan Q. So I like this a lot by Cloud9 EU right there, bringing the kill score back to equal, bringing the turrets now 2-1 as well, and it's a minute 20 to Dragon, and those have been 2 for 0 as well.
Minute 20, yeah, so they've got a pretty good amount of time to set up for this next one. And, you know, both teams have decent ward coverage over the area, so really it's going to be about, are we sending Shyvana top again to try and deal with the Mundo teleport, or do we just bring one down? Because I don't think Heavy bot lane are going to be the ones initiating the next dragon. I think they're just going to trying to be defending against it.
We'll see how good their defense ends up being. So far, they haven't really found their way in just yet, but they do have some offenses. Mid lane actually under fire.
Mid lane definitely going to go down here because the rotation's a little bit slow there for the C9 EU. They're actually turning their sights towards top. But another point I want to make on the Dragon is that actually, you know, it was about 8 minutes ago or something, both supports here picked up the sweeping lenses. So those are actually ready to use. They've actually used them a couple times already. They picked them up pretty early. And as soon as you hit level 9, I really like at least one person on your team going to switch them out. Usually prefer 2. Getting one on the you know, roaming assassins like Gragas or Riven would be really helpful. They have picked up a couple though, and they've got options for the next dragon fight if they want to force it.
Yeah, absolutely. The ward sweeping definitely available. One order used by Q actually sweeping away the upper jungle of Heavy bot lane, the Wraith Brush over there. But Voidals is up right now, if I see it correctly, which means that these guys can get control of this area of the map. These teams are grouping around. Then you asked what Shyvana would do, but Shyvana's actually come down, so Heavy bot lane already available here with all 5 members to contest this dragon.
Talk about gold value of pink wards right there. That one only, that didn't even last 1 minute. That was Voidal's pink ward right there. It did its part though. Oh my goodness, the initiate from Airwalks.
And Kuza's going to go to Airwalks himself, though. The fight has begun. Fabibin dropped dangerously low, and goodbye. Astari picks that one up. Airwalks getting away off to the side as well, but there comes the AD carry. Lucian picks up one. The chase down onto Shyvana. That's going to be Kabashard going down as well. Finally to Dr. Mundo. 2 for 1 so far, and now, goodbye to Hiva. 3 kills now for C9 EU. Wonderful fight right here. 3-1.
Now Jarvan doesn't want to face check that, but Voidal going in.
And goodbye. Triple kill now for Hjarnan and C9EU. Misses the EQ.
It's a little bit long right there.
Yeah. I feel like there's no steal coming in, though, so it's going to be all right. Voidal maybe could have soloed it, but there we go. Third Dragon in a row now for Cloud9 Europe, and these guys are looking pretty good now in the mid game.
Yeah, they're definitely feeling good about this game. They've got a substantial gold lead now, and that was really why I was not thinking that heavy bot lane were going to start up the next Dragon, and was a little bit surprised that Airwalks went in for the initiate. But really well played team fight by C9EU once the Vi did initiate.
Yeah, I've got to give a lot of props to Hjarnan as well in this fight. In this game at all, sort of in general, he's the #7 player in Challenger solo queue right now on EU West. And you're kind of seeing how he's earned that spot. We talked about him in the pregame. He had some kind of ludicrous like 8-0-6 score on Lucian. Here he is 5-0-1.
Yeah.
Still hasn't died, taking away other people in like the top of ranked fives. Like, clearly a good player.
Plus, he got a culling kill in that one, so definitely bonus points right there.
That Bloodthirster, man, we talked about it. He got the item. Trinity Force second. It's good enough. And it's going to be Arabne forced to run away, but heavy bot lane sitting 4 people top, and they're going to go in onto Dr. Mundo. The engage is there. The armor shred already there from Vi as well, tanking up the turret. And do they have enough damage? Looks like yes. Narde is going to pick up that kill. Caitlyn's going to like that to catch up in this game.
A little bit of a rotation here from Cloud9 EU, but Vivian going aggressive again in mid.
Can he find a Starry? Those should have the Wind Slash still available, but 400 health on Gragas might be enough. Oh, the flash stun's going to be enough. There's the execute for Vivian, taking a solo kill.
Another beautiful kill. They did also rotate up to the top, like I said, but with only 2 members, not able to stop the turret destruction. They left Lucian down in the bottom lane because he's getting a secondary turret, whereas they only lost an outer for this.
Wow, incredible stuff. And the flash engage there onto Hitiva, sorry. And let's see if they can do enough right there. Yes, one more attack. Who picks up that kill? Unassisted, actually, just putting the damage in there.
Oh, Hiva left all by himself right there. The flash EQ from Jarvan. Oh, wow, another secondary turret down. Cloud9 are running over this game.
Yeah, Cloud9 suddenly just spiked in the mid game and said, we're all going to beat you individually in all of our given 1v1 matchups, and they've been using that to push the map down, but now for Vivian, forced to run Kabashard, being pretty scary. Vi in the chase as well.
This is not a Shyvana who went for a Blade of the Ruin King, though, so this scary kill potential not quite there, just a slow burn from the Sunfire. I guess they were counting on that Gragas with the Moonrail Anomicon to really be their counter to that late game Mundo, and didn't feel like they needed the percentage health damage of a Blade of the Ruin King Shyvana.
Yeah, well, it's just kind of a scary, tanky Dragon Lady instead right there, going for the Rendua's Omen next up right there. Hjarnan, though, getting hit up a little bit by Hiva, forced to run away. Of course, you saw that Baron attempt getting stopped rather quickly by the Gragas. Looks like there was just enough vision coverage for heavy bot lane here, but you're certainly seeing these guys turn the screws and try to control more of the map.
Yeah, it is every jungler's nightmare to have a Gragas on the opponent team because, you know, as soon as they see that guy coming over, just scream for your team to stop doing Baron. You don't want to make him make you look silly by making you miss a smite there.
Yeah.
From pretty much any angle, he can get the full combo off.
It's true. I know we were talking about it back in Riot. It's like you should bring a Yasuo to counter red side Gragas, so you can win wall, and feel really good about it. One day we'll see that. We'll see the smite steals getting blocked, and it'll be like the counter steal. We'll see one day. Ward slightly missing in the brush right there, though. Unfortunately, Voidal slightly missing that one, but Cloud9 EU going to try again, but right in the face of a Ward, they look for this Baron attempt. I don't know if it's going to succeed, though.
Well, they do have Mundo taking it, so he'll be able to regen a lot quicker than a lot of other members will. Also, setting this bush gank is a pretty decent idea, but they only have 2 members up there. So a Voidal flashes out onto a trap and into Baron damage. Gonna get taken pretty low.
That is the second early flash in from Voidal, but the engage comes in from Airwalks. Shut him down to half HP right there. Will the Gragas ulti shut him down?
Got it.
Yes, it will. 1 for 0. The knockup lands on a 2 from Zyra, and the fight has begun. Romney ignited, trying to run away. Not getting a whole bunch of regen, but looks like he will escape from this fight. But these Baron attempts are not working out for C9EU.
Yeah, so it was actually that bush, a little sneaky 2-man bush gank up there that they set up with Lucian and Thresh that didn't work out. Getting both members caught meant they had to blow Voidal's flash going over the edge, and him being that low, they were on full retreat. Great move by Vi, going for the ult immediately onto the 5-kill AD carry, and Gragas following that up with the ulti combo. perfect for them. They got exactly what they needed out of that, but it only bought them some more time. They're still very far behind in this team, or in this game, and they have to keep their heads about them and try and just get a little bit of vision back in their own jungle.
Well, they're doing at least a good job of getting the opponents out of there and out of their lawn so they can at least sweep a little bit, but still only one lens so far for heavy bot lane. They actually don't remove wards that rapidly. And you talk about that vision control being important, that might be something to keep track of. Cloud9, they're just walking back to Baron over and over again, this time just with wards. But at least now they know they're not going to see when they inevitably try it again.
So that one was Jarvan's pink. You get 5 pinks per team, 1 on each person. But a lot of other members out of extra slots too. So a little bit harder for them to control that vision, and they've actually upped it to 3 sweepers here for the C9 EU team.
Yeah, they're following typical form actually. What we've seen from the Koreans is the top laner and AD carry never switch their trinket. The other 3 tend to by the end game. So Cloud9 at least doing some of their homework and seeing how the other pro teams are doing it. Following that trade, nice smite right there, Ku picking up the red buff steal. So Cloud9 EU still trying to stay in control of this jungle of what would normally be heavy bot lane's jungle.
And it looks like they're going to do the shove 2 lanes here with a 2-3 split push, trying to get top and mid shoved up far enough so that they can buy time to go take that dragon. This late in the game, dragon is worth a substantial amount of gold, but Airwalk's making them pay for it.
And they're not keeping Ku locked up enough. There's the Dragon's ult. He's going to go back in and say, yeah, I'm probably going to die, but jumps over the wall. Lantern comes off, but it's on the wrong side here. Ku finally does go down, but Oramne shows up. A 4 versus 5, though. Mundo might be in the wrong spot right there. Does he have the flash to get away? No, he does not. And it's just all the damage coming across. Double kill here for Caitlyn. 3-3-3 on her. And now it's a 3 versus 5. Cloud9 EU forced to run.
I feel like that was a good idea by Cloud9 to shove up the 2 lanes and then retreat back to Dragon, but their rotation was so slow and it was uncohesive. You know, we had Jarvan staying in the mid lane there. It was a 2-man at Dragon, 2 up top and 1 in mid. They just got caught out, and you can't make positional mistakes like that against the team with Vi, because he will immediately ultimate you and kill you.
Yeah, not to mention the Randuin's Omen now done for Airwalks as well. So even more crowd control available. Can get the on-demand slow to help out a bit more. Of course, the Shyvana going to be doing the same thing right now. There we go, double Randuin's Omen already done. You talked about this C9 EU team being all physical. It's a lot of armor coming in.
There's a lot of armor coming in. That's, you know, probably one of the reasons Shyvana didn't go with the early Blade of the Ruined King, because she wanted to stack that up. But I have to say, heavy bot lane have gotten 2 really big wins in a row for themselves. Even though they are still behind, they're on a really good path to a comeback here.
Momentum definitely in their favor right now. Cloud9 EU haven't found anything new to do in a while. I think that's fair to say. They've gotten the dragons, that's been nice, but their attempts to end the game with Baron haven't gone anywhere. They've kind of stopped pushing for now. They've got that outer ring of 6 turrets, and then Cloud9 EU's kind of run out of things to do.
It does look like they're lacking a little bit of discipline here. That the last rotation there being so sloppy with splitting everyone up, definitely a little bit less communication than they need to finish this one out. Maybe they got, you know, a little bit too happy with the extra gold that they had, the extra gold lead they had over heavy bot lane. But they are opening up the doors here for a really nice comeback. And it's enabled heavy bot lane to get some wards down around Baron, plus gives them the opportunity to kill some of the pinks. 2 of pinks down again here.
Yeah, there we go. 2 removed, heavy bot lane, getting rid of actually all of the ward coverage that existed on this top side jungle. You have 0 vision whatsoever for the blue team outside of minions and champion bodies here. So good stuff there by heavy bot lane to take that area of the map back. And you just see him going back and forth. Voidal runs up, uses sweeping lens, kills off some wards, puts his own down, and they keep going back and forth.
Now, I do have a theory on the new trinkets. And I think that the really underused one, the orb, is actually a very good tool for teams that are really far behind, because if you just even pick up one, when you're really far behind and you've lost all vision control of your jungle and of the Baron area, it enables you to actually at least check Baron without having to put your life at risk. You don't always want to have your support walking over there to drop a ward over the wall, because a lot of teams can just jump that wall and kill you. So just getting one of those orbs is actually a really good strategy, I think, for teams that are behind and trying to come back. It's just that everybody's kind of written off those orbs as just trash tier trinkets and haven't really decided to try that.
I agree. They should give them a better chance at this one, but we'll see what they do with this one. Cloud9 EU back to the splits, and actually they're making it a 1-3-1 split. So they've got the Mundo in the bottom lane, he's got the teleport, Easy to bring him across the map, but Ku on Jarvan actually sitting there in the top lane as well. And the rest of the team kind of lurking around in the mid lane here. So trying to get all the lanes pushed up now with C9 EU. We'll see if they can do anything with that. Try to find their way into this map.
Oh no, whiffs the culling. Everybody's sad.
Aww. Oh well.
They did clear out the extra ward there in the river though around Baron. So one sweeper successful. They have one left off cooldown, but there's a ward again inside Baron Pit. So again, the bait is so hard nowadays. With vision being such a restricted resource for your team, you really have to practice this and be coordinated.
Yeah, these guys haven't been able to completely wrest control despite the fact that they have that same 6,000 gold lead they've had for like the entire mid game here. These guys just aren't finding their ways to completely blind everyone, make things happen. It's Cloud9 kind of no longer having any wind in their sails. They're not going anywhere really. They're trying again though in face of a ward. Cloud9 EU trying to knock this Baron down.
He did miss the sweep too. It was just outside of the circle. They're burning it down so fast though that they can't stop now. You have to go for it. Even though there's a Gragas on the other time, this is a 50-50.
All right, the damage coming across. Who can pick it up? It's gotta be red team getting Baron Nash that is heavy bot lane, and they pick up a kill for it as well. Goodbye to Ku, who did try to smite, but didn't quite land it in time there. Autoamne forced a little bit low. It's going to be chased down. Has a lantern and does manage to click it. The box from Void are going to let him run away, but heavy bot lane in a big way get back in this game.
That could have all been avoided by upgrading the sweeper up to the Oracle's sweeping lens, because then you don't have to deal with just a small little radius there, and you could have just gotten that extra inch to the back of the Baron Pit to see that ward. But really, really well played once again by heavy bot lane. I have to keep giving them credit because they're making the right moves on the path to a comeback here. This is the third one in a row where they've had the victory that they needed to. Even though it started out terribly for them, they're making all the right comeback moves.
And now the question is, does Dragon switch hands finally? We're a minute 12 away, and heavy bot lane, though they're down, I think, 0-4 at this point in Dragon, it's Cloud9 E who's taken them all, but despite a 3,000 gold deficit, I feel like bot lane is the stronger team in the map because of Baron buff.
Baron buff definitely is going to put them ahead here. They've got amazing regen as well if they want to go siege up. We touched on the extra range that this bottom lane has. That's great for coming into a tower siege because they have a mid lane Gragas who can knock away the Cloud9 EU team from the turret and allow not only the Caitlyn and the Zyra, but the rest of the team to grab some early hits on that turret and get some very good turret damage down. Meanwhile, they can rely on the regen from that Baron buff to sustain, even though they'd have no heals on the team.
Well, and here we go. Looks like the team is getting ready to siege, but Cloud9 EU will not give up the pushes on the sides. Autoamne forced to run away, outnumbered in the mid. He will run away successfully, but you saw Ku on Jarvan pushing the bottom lane, creating pressure there. He might pull a rotation later on, but we'll see. Heavy bot lane still about 2 minutes left on their Baron buff, looking for some tasty minions and a tasty turret in this mid lane.
Meanwhile, Cloud9 EU have also built 2 Last Whispers on a couple of their attack damage heavy damage threats here. So they only need one more before, you know, the early armor stacking becomes that much less effective here from heavy bot lane. So it's really coming down to a late game team fight oriented game here. Whoever makes the first positional mistake for the next team fight that does come up is going to be the one that really pays the price, because the next objective that goes down is going to be an inhibitor turret, and the first team to have that breached is going to be at the huge disadvantage.
So let's see what these teams can do about this right now. Heavy bot lane still on Baron buff. They did get the uncontested Dragon as the rewards for their really, really good team fight just a few minutes ago. And now these guys look for this mid lane. The side lanes, pretty standard. They're kind of holding still around the river, not pushing too quickly just yet. And it's the mid lane just getting kind of wave clear, despite the fact that C9 EU, mostly melee, they're getting rid of minions pretty cleanly.
They do have pretty good wave clear, even though they are pretty melee heavy. It's because Lucian got so fed so early. He does an insane amount of damage, and a lot of the line damage can be used to clear out wave after wave after wave. The only thing they have to worry about is his mana pool, which is fairly low, being that he's an AD carry. And they do have to worry about that for team fights after wave clearing, after multiple wave clears, because not having mana on the Lucian in the team fight would be disastrous for them.
Okay, so the caster-based AD carry definitely don't want to on him. He is changing up his build a little bit, though, going towards an Infinity Edge next. So the auto attack damage is going to be growing there pretty rapidly. And to be fair, his itemization is still very far ahead of the AD carry of heavy bot lane there. We talked about how well the Caitlyn did in the pregame. In their prior match, we've still got a better AD carry, or at least a more fed AD carry here on Cloud9 EU. So in terms of like late game fight damage, you still got that there on that side at least.
He does have more things to worry about though. The Lucian is going to have to worry about the Gragas ultimate splitting him from the rest of his team, and then Vi locking onto him. If that's exactly what this heavy bot lane wants, if they can split up the team, then Vi's going to get that lock on straight to Lucian. If they take out that damage target, that is a tremendous amount of Cloud9 EU's damage for the team fight. If they can actually kill Lucian at the beginning, then it will be huge. And that's exactly what they're going to be looking to do, because he has not built a defensive item.
Yeah, he hasn't, but at the very least, Voidal has. You said earlier he loves Face the Mountain, upgrading the Targon shield, and it's here already here for Voidal, who's also going towards Aegis to presumably lock it. So that's actually three shields, because it's Thresh, that he can give here and then later on in this game. So though the AD carries not building any defense, Voidal's doing it for him.
Right. That's why it's so important, the Gragas ultimate. When that comes in, if he split Voidal far enough away, then they can try and burst down that Lucian in that split second.
That'd be just so unfortunate. You're just like, no! You're like reaching out and the lantern's like flying away from you. It's like in slow motion. That'd be horrible. It'd be like terrifying. You're just dying.
I like your Voidal voice impersonation too. That's pretty much just what it sounds like.
Pretty sure. All Estonians have really high-pitched voices.
Wow, look at the Caitlyn though, coming out with the Guardian Angel. Even though she's already this far behind on damage, feeling like gonna have to go with that defensive item. So this means even if the Jarvan Riven and Mundo dive all the way onto that Caitlyn to catch her, never mind, here's the initiate.
A little bit of damage coming across, but a good lantern by Voidal is going to keep his teammates safe right there. Mundo popping his ulti pretty early on as well. It does force just some pretty low cooldowns out of Cloud9 EU. Otherwise, they're all right. No ultis burned at all, actually, by heavy bot lane. So, just kind of a false start right there. Not a lot going on. But, you know, Baron's coming back up in a minute, and if I'm Cloud9 EU, I'm like, no, it still hasn't worked out for us yet. Maybe we shouldn't.
It hasn't worked out for them, but they don't have a strong sieging team. That's why this game has slowed down so much. Why we've been waiting around, you know, for the past almost 6-7 minutes here. Because Cloud9 EU, they don't really have a great siege team, and they're really looking for a team fight around an objective where they can pull heavy bot lane away from those turrets and then make use of all that mobility that they have, because they still have an amazingly mobile team. And since Riven has picked up the Black Cleaver on top of her Hydra, she can armor shred in an area which will multiply the damage of pretty much everybody else on her team.
That's true. That is going to be all kinds of scary. I just want to point out that this is twice in a row that someone has accidentally taken the red buff away from Caitlyn. The first time Shyvana Burnout ticked it, this time it was actually the Sunfire Cape of Vi stole it away. So we actually haven't had a red buff Kate all game, unless she got one off a corpse.
Now, okay, that was probably an accident, because she was walking away and the AoE burn took it, but it's not a terrible thing. It's actually really strong to have late game tanks with red buffs, because they'll be getting off just as many, if not more, auto attacks than the AD carry. AD carries at this point in the game spend so much of their time running and trying to kite, that actually having a red buff on the Vi, who's going to be looking to kill Lucian just as fast as possible, or on the Shyvana, who's doing the same thing, is just pretty much just as good.
Yeah, not to mention, actual melee red buff slow is a higher slow than a ranged champion with one. So I really feel you on that one. I guess you're right. Yeah, they could pick someone down and pin them out. It's definitely not the end of the world here. The funny thing is, actually, you kind of talk about where buffs are going. C9 have given Fabivin the blue buff every single time, just for the 10 CDR on Riven. That's the only thing it gives him, and he's fine with it. But there's the initiation, goes in on Illusion, does have a lantern, picks that up nicely, but there comes Q into the front lines. Can he survive long enough? Cullen comes across, Kevachar tanks all of it right now, and already one's gonna go down. Zhonya's ends, and it's goodbye to Gragas. Fight still going on, Kevachar goes down as well. C9 EU just evaporating heavy bot lane right now. 4 dead right now, double kill, and the Guardian Angel is not gonna be enough. Goodbye, ace for Cloud9 EU.
Heavy bot lane just rushing that initiate a little bit. They saw Lucian and wanted to grab him. You could tell right after the Vi flashed in to get her ulti off and hold him in place. Gragas also flashed forward to try and get his barrel off and knock Lucian into the team, but he was just too late. A little bit too slow, a little bit too far behind, knocked him away, and they paid for it with an ace.
They paid for it with their game as well. Cloud9 EU taking the Nexus turrets down, and the Nexus itself going to fall as well. Welcome C9 EU to the Challenger Series. Welcome to the top 8. We'll be seeing more of you guys next week.
Really great opening from them. I love the lane phase. I love the first, few dragons. Really good team fights, but they did have a few problems concerning the vision control late game. They had the tools. They had a bunch of sweepers, a bunch of pink wards. They actually had multiple people buy pink wards, but they couldn't time them right, and they were never in the right spot. They only had 2 people trying Baron. Never really got it quick enough, and 2 people hiding in a bush is not going to be a good trap.
Yeah, and this is actually something by their own admission as well. Cloth5 did an interview with these guys and said, yeah, we're all really good players, but we don't have the teamwork and coordination down just yet. We're working on that one, and, well, it's do or die for you guys, so we'll see what they can do in the next week. But, guys, we've got to take a quick break, but when we return, it's our second Challenger Series showdown of the night as Tick, Trick, and Duck takes on Team 4-0. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.